Zhao Feng could already see the capital's magnificence from 1,000 miles away. Zhao Feng suddenly felt movement from his spiritual pet bag. Meow meow. The little thieving cat had finally woken up after a month of deep sleep. When its black eyes opened, a trace of profundity could be seen within them, but it soon faded. The little thieving cat's original gray fur had begun to turn into a faint silver color. Its size was also slightly bigger, and although the changes weren't big, Zhao Feng's God spiritual, I had found that the little thieving cat had undergone a dramatic change. Meow meow. The little thieving cat stood on its owner's shoulder as it flipped 2 bronze coins with a ding. Heiyun Master gazed curiously from the side, whereas Zhao Feng was already used to it. Meow meow. The little thieving cat made a few gestures to Zhao Feng while shaking its head and sighed. What is it saying? Heiyun Master was slightly surprised. It's telling me to not go to the capital because my luck at this moment isn't very good, and it's hard to guess whether I'll meet danger or fortune. Zhao Feng shook his head helplessly. The capital was a place where he would definitely go. Furthermore, he had been blessed in the Water Moon Treasury. However, a person's luck wouldn't be this good all the time. A cat that knows how to calculate the future. Interesting. The 6 Warlock Divine Tower also has a mysterious, knowledgeable, and wise person who knows how to calculate the future. Apparently, that person also possesses a weird cat. Heiyun Master said, "Oh? 6 Warlock Divine Tower." Zhao Feng's heart moved. Wise person. Weird cat? Meow meow. Upon hearing this, the eyes of the little thieving cat flickered. Zhao Feng snickered. Thieving cat? It wouldn't be a cat of your species, right? Meow meow. The little thieving cat angrily waved its paw, as if saying that it was the only one in the world. Heiyun Master laughed. The appearance of the little thieving cat created some joy in the heavy journey. Zhao Feng stopped cultivating. His chi of half-step true spirit had reached 60%, and he could now try to break through to true spirit realm. In reality, anyone that had reached the half-step true spirit realm had the ability to try break through to true spirit realm, but the chance of success was extremely slim. The shedding spiritual pill only increased one's chances by a measly 20%. The higher conversion rate of chi of half-step true spirit one had, the higher their chances of success would be. If one's conversion rate of chi of half-step true spirit reached 90%, they had at least a 50% chance of reaching true spirit realm. However, the higher the conversion rate, the slower it was to progress. This was especially true when it exceeded 50%. The azure sharp swallow's wings flapped and closed in on the capital. Soon after, even normal experts could see the capital's magnificence, and the steeds in the air increased. There was the occasional eye-catching sedan or carriage flying in the air. This place is indeed worthy of being the capital. Zhao Feng's footsteps didn't stop. Ever since he had arrived in Canopy Great Country, he had a knot in his heart, and that was to complete First Elder's mission. And now the target was coming closer and closer. It was right in front of him. Shwa! A carriage pulled by 2 flying cloud horses suddenly appeared from in front and headed towards Zhao Feng and company. Heiyun Master quickly signaled Zhao Feng to go around. People who were in such carriages were not simple figures and were all experts at true spirit realm. They were usually at true mystic rank. Just as Zhao Feng was going to make the azure sharp swallow go around, a voice sounded from the carriage. Zhao Feng, according to our Iron Blood religion's news, the Flooding Lake City Lord had warranted you, especially in the areas of the capital. The Flooding Lake Lu family had even come to some sort of agreement with the Imperials. The window of the carriage lifted and revealed an elder wearing a robe who had a wrinkled face. Greetings, Protector. Heiyun Master recognized this person and immediately bowed. Zhao Feng was extremely surprised. He didn't think that Heiyun Master would also have some connections with the Iron Blood religion. The robed elder in front of them had reached the true mystic rank and would be unrivaled across the 13 countries. Thank you, Protector, for the warning. Zhao Feng immediately showed his gratitude. To warn him, the Iron Blood religion had sent a Protector-ranked person. From this, one could see his importance. Zhao Feng, the Deputy Patriarch warns you not to go to the capital. The robed elder looked deeply at him. Pa! Upon saying this, the window closed and the carriage flew into the clouds with speed comparable to true human rank experts. The exchange between them had only lasted 2 to 3 breaths, and whether Zhao Feng listened or not, the news from the Iron Blood religion had been delivered. Zhao Feng understood the intentions of Iron Blood religion. The Iron Blood religion and the Imperials were on opposite sides, and if Zhao Feng were to be roped in by Empress Qin, he might become an enemy of the Iron Blood religion. This interruption soon passed by. Zhao Feng's decision didn't change. Empress Qin was someone he had to see. An hour later, the capital came into view, and the enormous ancient city had an archaic aura encompassing it. Zhao Feng put the azure sharp swallow away and entered Canopy Great Country. At the entrance, Zhao Feng saw portraits of himself. A youth with azure hair with a small gray cat. The hair and left eye of the youth were all extremely eye-catching. The little thieving cat hid into the spiritual pet bag unwillingly. Zhao Feng's current appearance had blue hair, and he had purposely taken off the eye patch. The bloodline power in his body circulated, and faint blue blood entered the dimension of his left eye. Zhao Feng's control of the god's spiritual eye had become better, and with just a thought, the color of his left eye became black. Through some simple disguise, Zhao Feng had become a cold, blue-haired youth. When entering the capital, the guards only gazed at Zhao Feng, then instinctively looked at the portrait but shook their heads. The youth in the picture had azure hair, and his left eye was azure, unless he wore an eye patch. Zhao Feng didn't satisfy these requirements. After Zhao Feng's spiritual eye turned blue, his aura had also changed. Like this, Zhao Feng openly entered the capital. The flooding Lake City Lord still isn't giving up and is even warranting me in cooperation with the Imperials in the capital. How did he know that I would appear in the capital? Zhao Feng's heart was filled with solemnness. After entering the capital, Zhao Feng didn't make any rash actions. Empress Qin was extremely powerful, and even normal true spirit realm experts would find it hard to find her. He needed to plan first. Zhao Feng and Heiyun Master first stopped at the capital and followed Heiyun Master's suggestion to sell some of the useless items. Although the auctioneer would take 5%, it would save Zhao Feng a lot of trouble. There were many powerful auctioneers in the capital, and one of the most renowned ones would be the extremely mysterious Rising Dragon auction. Apparently, they extended across the continent. You can relax. The Rising Dragon auction has no connections with the Imperials or the Four Families. Apparently, their headquarters is in the Middle Continent. Heiyun Master said. That's good. Zhao Feng let Heiyun Master handle it. He had no interest in the auction. Heiyun Master had some connections in the capital and soon found some choices for Zhao Feng. The Rising Dragon auction happens once a month, and the next one is in 3 days. Do you want to go? Apparently there's a lot of spiritual grade items, and this includes Scarlet Moon incomplete maps, Heaven's Legacy scripts, which all have a high collective value. Even some of the upper echelons from the Imperials will participate. Heiyun Master's tone was full of excitement. Not interested. Wait, Scarlet Moon incomplete maps? Heaven's Legacy scripts? Upper echelons from the Imperials participating. Zhao Feng was finally moved. He had one of the Scarlet Moon incomplete maps from the Scarlet Moon Cave, something he had gotten from the Blood Corpse Protector. As for the Heaven's Legacy script, he had obtained one from the Water Moon Pirate. There'll definitely be a few important figures. Imperial, 3 sects, 4 families. Every one of them will send people, and Empress Qin might even participate personally. I hope to get some ancient scripts this time. And some of the 4 inheritances items are great for research. Heiyun Master became more excited as he spoke. This Rising Dragon auction was definitely large-scale and was the most popular one within 100 years. Meow meow. Upon hearing this, the little thieving cat excitedly jumped out from the spiritual pet bag. It was a miser that would obviously be attracted to an auction. Go back in. Zhao Feng reached out and grabbed the little thieving cat before throwing it back into the spiritual pet bag. After all, Zhao Feng and the little thieving cat was the picture on the warrants. Not long ago, Zhao Feng had seen a youth with a cat taken away. How about we go then? Zhao Feng decided. This auction gathered the forces across Canopy Great Country, and Empress Qin might even appear. There were also Heaven Legacy scripts and Scarlet Moon incomplete maps, which were antiques that Zhao Feng was interested in. The auction was to be held 3 days later. Thus, Zhao Feng had to make his preparations. Said simply, Zhao Feng needed to gather more silver, so even if interesting items appeared, Zhao Feng would be able to afford it. Although his god's spiritual eye wasn't fiery and glowing gold, it was still full of intelligence and knowledge. Over the next 2 days, Zhao Feng sold the materials, pill, and weapons that were not of much use to him in large quantities, leaving behind only some items which might be used in the future. After clearing them out, Zhao Feng's interspatial bracelet was filled with primal crystal stones. He also bought 2 more interspatial rings that were each the size of a garage. At this point in time, Zhao Feng was extremely wealthy and gave some of the items from the Water Moon Pirate to the Rising Dragon auction to sell. The headquarters of the Rising Dragon auctioneer was in the Middle Continent, and they were a neutral force which didn't reveal the identities of the seller. Therefore, it was a very good place to get rid of some items. 3 days later, in an elegant and quiet area where the river and woods intersected, the Rising Dragon auction wasn't held in the expected crowdy and noisy area. Instead, this place was even quieter than normal auctions. If one was then to underestimate the Rising Dragon auction, they would be severely mistaken. The reason why there was a small number of people was because the Rising Dragon auction was extremely high class and the entrance fee alone was 2,000 low-grade primal crystal stones, the same as 200,000 substandard primal crystal stones in the cloud area. Furthermore, the items here all easily started off at 10,000 primal crystal stones. Normal experts at the Ascended Realm could only look around. However, the situation this time was different from usual. Many of the products here were at the pinnacle of the continent. Flying steeds incessantly flew above the woods and lake. The people attending to the Rising Dragon auction this time is several times the norm. There's broken pieces of Earth-grade items, Demon Slaughtering Blade, Heaven's Legacy scripts, 7-sword incomplete manual and other high-class items. Even those at True Lord rank would come. My God! Broken pieces of Earth-grade items? The legend says that 10,000 years ago a Earth-grade weapon appeared and crushed an entire capital of a Lord country flat. After that, Lord countries were only a legend. The people entering the auction discussed. Weapons were usually split into several grades: mortal, spiritual, earth, sky. Currently, even spiritual grade items were rare and were almost extinct in less populated areas. As for earth grade items and sky grade items, they were almost non-existent and were items of the legends. Even the Scarlet Moon demonic religion didn't have a complete earth grade weapon. Putting the earth grade weapons aside, just peak spiritual grade items were low in number in Canopy Great Country. Even if they had them, they were items to hold the fort. At a certain point in time, an azure sharp swallow carrying a blue-haired youth and short elder flew over. Due to the fact that he was currently wanted, Zhao Feng pretended to have an old and cold aura and didn't wear his eye patch. With his current control of the god's spiritual eye, he could change the color of his left eye for half a day but would lose most of its power while he did so. There's really going to be broken pieces of an earth-grade weapon? Zhao Feng didn't dare believe this. There's not only broken pieces of earth-grade items. Apparently, there's a profound 7-sword incomplete manual which comes from one of the 4-grade inheritances, the 7-item inheritance, and its power is said to be close to an earth-ranked skill. Apparently, there's also items from the other 4-grade inheritances, but their contents were kept a secret. Heiyun Master's face was full of excitement and had reached an extreme level. Even if they were here just to look around, it would be worth it to come and attend an auction at this level. Zhao Feng's calm heart couldn't help but feel somewhat moved. The little thieving cat in his spiritual pet bag danced around, and if it weren't for Zhao Feng, it would have come out and jumped around. There's too many people attending this auction, and there's only 1,000 slots. The entrance fee has been raised to 5,000 primal crystal stones. There was several people at the entrance whose cultivation had reached true spirit realm, with one of them even reaching true mystic rank. The reason to raise the entrance fee was to limit the number of participants. The level of the Rising Dragon auction was considerably high and not many ordinary people came. There were too many people here this time, and they could only use such a method to kick out those who just wanted to look around. 5,000 primal crystal stones wasn't a small sum. It was worth 500,000 substandard primal crystal stones, which would be an enormous sum in the 13 countries. Heiyun Master, this way? One of the attendants revealed a smile and led Zhao Feng and Heiyun Master inside. Heiyun Master had an esteemed guest card which allowed him to enter the esteemed guest stands. The esteemed guest stands were high up, and if the guests were willing, they could make it so that those outside couldn't see your appearance. If it was during ordinary times, you too would be able to receive at least a 4-star or higher esteemed guest stand, but because the situation this time is different, you'll only be able to enter the 3-star stands. This attendant smiled and said, "Soon." Zhao Feng and Heiyun Master were soon arranged to enter an esteemed guest stand which could fit a dozen people inside. The number of esteemed guest stands were limited, and the higher the star, the lower the number. There were several dozens of 3-star stands and only a dozen 4-star stands, while there were only 4 5-star stands. This was like how the old factions were arranged. The higher they were meant that they were higher on the Golden Tower. 3 stars, not bad. Our stand is number 50. Heiyun Master faintly smiled and glanced outside. Because Zhao Feng chose to be concealed, there was a transparent glass around the area which allowed those inside to see outside but those outside to not be able to see inside. As time passed, the auction became more and more packed. Over half of the esteemed guest stands chose to hide themselves, but there were also those who were high-key and let those outside see them, as if they had victory in hand. The 4 big families Lu, Yun, Bai, Tian. They're all here, including the head of the Lu and Tian family. I heard that even the Imperials are here in Stand 3. Due to the appearance of broken Earth-grade items, at least one person between Empress Qin and the Emperor will come. Number 4 is the Iron Blood religion, but who would be in number 1 and 2? The crowd already started to discuss before the auction even started. There were only 4 5-star stands, and the Imperials as well as the Iron Blood religion took up number 3 and 4. This time the major figures of every force arrived. Zhao Feng's eyes scanned across the open esteemed guest stands. The number of those at True Spirit Realm reached almost 100, but the number of True Lord rank experts could be counted with one hand. After an hour, the auction officially started. The stage was semicircle shaped, and a plain-robed elder at True Mystic rank with 2 True Human rank beauties stood on the side. Cough, cough. The first item of the auction will officially be revealed. The robed elder had a calm face and his voice seemed to be very kind. One of the True Human rank beauties took out a chilling ice stone which emanated a terrifying coldness. Chilling ice stones gave off coldness all year round and was normally worth around 10,000 primal crystal stones. However, right now, they weren't selling the stone itself but a small bottle of liquid within the chilling ice stone. This is the ice essence spiritual fluid which comes from one of the 4 great inheritances, the Mystic Ice Inheritance. This fluid can allow a normal person to easily reach Ascended Realm. The best component of it is that it can allow someone without a spiritual body to have a spiritual body. The elder introduced Ice Essence Spiritual Fluid which came from the Mystic Ice Inheritance. A wave of discussion rose from below. Everyone knew that although the population of the continent was counted by hundreds of millions, those that had spiritual bodies were extremely rare. For example, Zhao Linlong from the Zhao family. He was the top genius back then, but in the world of clans he was trash. He only had a mortal tier body. Only those that had a spiritual tier body had the chance to reach the Ascended Realm. However, talent was obtained through bloodline, but it could be uncertain. The descendants of experts obviously were talented, but it wasn't absolute. There were some juniors of big families that had useless talents and would even find it hard to break through to the Ascended Realm. They would never reach the True Spirit Realm. This Ice Essence Spiritual Fluid is indeed mysterious. It can allow a mortal to easily reach the Ascended Realm. None of the 4 great inheritances are simple. Zhao Feng was surprised and somewhat speechless as he thought about how much effort he had gone through to reach the Ascended Realm, whereas a simple bottle of spiritual fluid in Canopy Great Country could change one's destiny. Ice Essence Spiritual Fluid starting at 100,000 primal crystal stones. Every bid must be higher by 1,000 than the last. The plain-robed elder smiled faintly. As his words finished, there were already people crazily screaming. I'll bid 150,000. 160. 180, shouted the crowd. This bottle of Ice Essence Spiritual Fluid easily went up to 200,000 and was steadily rising. Several elders of the families with less talented descendants wanted this to change the destiny of their children. The Ice Essence spiritual fluid was finally sold for 310,000 primal crystal stones, which was worth a low-tier spiritual grade weapon. A low-tier spiritual grade weapon was an item that could hold the fort for smaller factions. For the Rising Dragon auction, the first item couldn't be too bad or good. It also needed to bring a small surprise. The second and third items were all rare materials, and although they weren't as great as the Ice Essence spiritual fluid, they were at least at peak mortal grade level. The next two items are from the famous Water Moon Pirate. The plain-robed elder purposely dragged it out. Water Moon Pirate. Another wave of discussion came from the crowd. One of them is the Sky Bamboo 9-sound Qin, an item of entertainment which can heal the injuries of the heart by playing it. Experts of the Tao of entertainment can use this Qin to send out critical Qi of sound. In the past, an entertainment master used this Qin to save his faction and raise the morals of his clan by killing his enemies invisibly, saving the clan from destruction. The plain-robed elder summarized the item's history and legend. Zhao Feng was almost fully stunned when he heard this because this Qin was given to the Rising Dragon auction by him. Back then, Heiyun Master had estimated its value to be close to a spiritual grade weapon. They didn't realize that the Rising Dragon auction would even know its history. At the same moment, in an esteemed guest stand, Sky Bamboo 9-sound Qin? Isn't this our precious Qin of our Qin sword sect? This Qin was then shamelessly stolen by the Water Moon Pirate. I didn't think that the Sky Bamboo 9-sound Qin would appear at an auction. We must retrieve it. The Qin sword sect was one of the three big sects of Canopy Great Country. The Sky Bamboo 9-sound Qin starting price is 140,000. Every bid must be 2,000 higher, the plain-robed elder announced. Zhao Feng silently wondered how high an amount he would receive for this item. 160,000. 170,000. 200,000. Shouts incessantly rang out within the auction. The Sky Bamboo 9-sound Qin was a precious item that came from the Qin Sword Palace, and not only was it a sacred item for those that trained in the Tao of entertainment, it was also valuable as a collectible. Seeing that the price easily exceeded 200,000, a smile surfaced on Zhao Feng's face. 300,000. A cold woman's voice sounded from a certain esteemed guest stand and increased the price by 100,000 primal crystal stones. The crowd fell silent and many people glanced towards that stand. The people in that stand should be the people from the Qin Sword Palace. The Sky Bamboo 9-sound Qin comes from there. A few of the competitors thought about it and most of them decided to give up. The Qin Sword Palace was the same as the Iron Blood religion. It was one of the three major sects and was extremely famous. Most people didn't want to offend a monster like the Qin Sword Palace, and their wealth also couldn't be compared to it either. 310,000. 320,000. However, there still was a number of people that had cultivated in the Tao of entertainment, and their cultivation had reached the true mystic rank. They also had backing of a powerful force that wasn't scared of the Qin Sword Palace. 400,000. The people from the Qin Sword Palace once again added another 100,000, which caused the auction go silent once again. No matter how dumb these people were, they had realized that the Qin Sword Palace was bent on buying this item. Most of the competitors began to hesitate. 400,000 low-grade primal crystal stones was the same as 40 million substandard primal crystal stones and was the maximum value of this Qin. If they added more, it wouldn't be worth it. 410,000. A mocking voice sounded from the fifth esteemed guest stand, which caused everyone look over. Who would dare offend the Qin Sword Palace in public? However, the fifth esteemed guest stand was next to the Qin Sword Palaces, symbolizing that its position was the same as theirs. It's the people from the Wind Cloud sect. No wonder they dared to offend the Qin Sword Palace. The Wind Cloud sect is also one of the three major sections. Everyone understood. The Wind Cloud sect was one of the major three sects, and apparently, their relationship wasn't very well with the Qin Sword Palace. The Qin Sword Palace was closer with the Imperials, whereas the Wind Cloud sect was closer with the Iron Blood religion. 450,000. The voice from the Qin Sword Palace carried a tone of irritation. 460,000. The voice from the Wind Cloud sect carried a joyful tone. 560,000. The Qin Sword Palace added another 100,000, showing off their wealth. At the same time, in a certain esteemed guest stand. Humph! If the Wind Cloud sect raises the price, what can they do with it? The eyes of a beauty wearing a gown flashed coldly. Goddess Qin is correct. The Sky Bamboo 9-sound Qin is only a collectible in the hands of someone that doesn't know about entertainment. A true mystic rank expert nearby smiled faintly. This time, the Wind Cloud sect didn't raise the price. It was as though they only wanted to play around with the Qin Sword Palace and not go too overboard. The Sky Bamboo 9-sound Qin was sold for 560,000. Zhao Feng revealed a satisfied smile. Under normal situations, the price of the Sky Bamboo 9-sound Qin was 400,000. Exceeding 500,000 was slightly exaggerated. Hee. Here's another precious item from the Water Moon Pirate, the Jade Spiral Mystic Phoenix Crown. The plain-robed elder smiled and raised his hand. The true human rank beauty next to him presented a crown that was made of jade and gold. It was elegant, noble, and also contained an indescribable nobleness to it. Jade Spiral Mystic Phoenix Crown. Isn't this the Phoenix Crown of the Imperials? Apparently, this is the inherited item of every queen. The auction went into chaos once again. The Phoenix Crown was worn only by the queen. This Jade Spiral Mystic Phoenix Crown was an item of the Imperials, and although its value wasn't even worth more than a spiritual grade item, its history was not simple. The third esteemed guest stand. Ridiculous! Who dares to sell the inherited crown of the Imperials publicly? Empress, this general here suggests to find out who is selling the crown. Maybe we can follow their trail afterwards and find the location of the Water Moon treasury. There was a dozen people in the third stand and almost every one of them had reached true spirit realm. The most powerful aura had even reached half a level higher than true lord rank. It's not as simple as you think. The Rising Dragon auction's background is more terrifying than you imagine. Even at Canopy Great Country's peak, they didn't dare touch them. An old voice sounded. What Grand Elder said is true. The most important mission at hand is to buy the Jade Spiral Mystic Phoenix Crown or else it'll tarnish the Imperial's name. The third stand soon reached an agreement. At the same time, in the 50th stand. Heiyun Master, are you sure there won't be any problems by selling the inherited items from the Imperials? Zhao Feng asked. Relax, the background of the Rising Dragon auction isn't simple. Putting Canopy Great Country's Imperials aside, even the 10 great factions don't dare touch them easily. Heiyun Master laughed. The starting price of the Jade Spiral Mystic Phoenix Crown is 200,000. Every bid must be higher than 5,000. The plain-robed elder announced. 300,000. The second he finished speaking, a person from the Imperials already began to bid and added 100,000. The auction was dead silent. The Imperials were, after all, the rulers of Canopy Great Country in name, and after Empress Qin became involved in politics, its force was even more powerful than normal sections. At this point in time, no one dared to bid. Zhao Feng couldn't help but feel somewhat disappointed because he had hoped that the crown would sell for a good price. However, from the current situation, it seemed that no one dared to offend the Imperials publicly. Could it be that the power of the Imperials had reached a level where they could order the 9 sides and rule supreme? 310,000. A faint voice came from the fourth stand. The crowd began to break out into discussion because this stand belonged to the Iron Blood religion. In Canopy Great Country, the battle between the Iron Blood religion and the Imperials wasn't a secret. 500,000. The Imperials instantly increased the bid by roughly 200,000 and the spectators couldn't help but become excited. The 8 major forces of the Canopy Great Country had almost split the country into 8 and ruled supreme. Although the battle between the Iron Blood religion and Imperials was large-scale, there were still some not as powerful forces that were neutral and willing to see this situation. 510,000. An emotionless voice sounded from the Iron Blood religion. Zhao Feng felt as if this voice was somewhat familiar. It sounded as if it was the blood-hair-colored Tiamo. It's the deputy patriarch from the Iron Blood religion. Some of the experts at True Spirit Realm had some interactions with Deputy Patriarch Tiamat. 710,000. The Imperials were extremely wealthy and instantly added another 200,000. 720,000. Deputy Patriarch Tiamat's voice was casual. 800,000. 810,000. No matter how much the Imperials added, the Iron Blood religion would always add an extra 10,000. 800,000 had already reached the value of a good quality, low-tier spiritual grade weapon. Once a weapon had reached mid-tier spiritual grade, they were already extremely rare. In Canopy Great Country, there wasn't even many high-tier spiritual grade items. Third stand. The experts from the Imperials were struggling to restrain themselves. Grand Elder Empress. That Tiamat is extremely shameless and is bent on destroying us. Why not make our moves now and diminish his fearsomeness? A true Lord rank and several true Mystic rank experts suppressed their rage. Don't make any rash moves. Tiamat's strength is comparable to a half-step Origin Core Realm expert, and after refining the wheel of light and darkness, it was like adding wings to a tiger. Even normal true Lord rank experts face the possibility of dying when facing him. Furthermore, this is the territory of the Rising Dragon Auction. An old voice sounded which stabilized the people. 1,200,000. 1,210,000. 2 million. The last price finally reached an astounding level and created a wave in the auction. 2 million was almost the value of a mid-tier spiritual grade weapon, and the Jade Spiral Mystic Phoenix Crown itself was only worth tens of thousands of primal crystal stones and was only valuable due to his history. Isn't it just a shitty crown? I'll give it to you. The Iron Blood religion stopped bidding. The auction had just begun and everything right now was just the entree. If the two sides were willing, they could easily reach tens of millions of primal crystal stones. Seeing Tiamat stop, the Imperials let out a breath. 2 million primal crystal stones was worth it. Haha. 2 million primal crystal stones. Zhao Feng couldn't help but roar with laughter. The Jade Spiral Mystic Phoenix Crown had no uses for him. He had originally thought that the crown would sell for a couple 100,000 but had never expected it to reach such a price. The auction became more fiery as the next couple items reached hundreds of thousands or even millions. Everyone here are esteemed guests with status and knowledge. You should know that with the Azure Flower Continent's current resources, forging, and array skills, some weapons and items are hard to create. Therefore, most of the weapons of the mid-tier spiritual grade and higher aren't actually produced by the Azure Flower Continent. The plain-robed elder smiled as he explained. Upon hearing this, Zhao Feng's pupils contracted. If it didn't come from the Azure Flower Continent, where did it come from? The 4 great inheritances are actually just the entrance on this continent. The Heaven's Legacy Inheritance, 7 Sword Inheritance, as well as the others are all actually located within dimensions in outer space. Only a small portion of the people here were surprised. Most of the people who were able to enter the Rising Dragon auction were all high up in the country and were knowledgeable. The treasured items from the 4 great inheritances had always made an appearance in this auction. Previously, it was the Ice Essence spiritual fluid form, the Mystic Ice Inheritance. This time, it will be a weapon from the Scarlet Moon Inheritance, which is ranked 3rd. After speaking, the plain-robed elder gently waved his hand and the true human rank beauty revealed the item. This is... Zhao Feng's expression changed drastically as he saw this item. On the platter was a long blood-colored sword with ancient, condensed carvings on it. Blood seemed to be scattered across it. When experts at the true human rank laid eyes upon it, their hearts trembled from the boundless aura of the blood. What terrifying aura! The spiritual sense of the true human rank experts didn't even dare to get too close. From its aura, it seemed like this sword was only close to the high-tier spiritual grade. This is the famous Blood Moon Devouring Spirit Sword from when the Scarlet Moon religion ruled. Although its grade hasn't exactly reached the high-tier spiritual grade, it can steal the blood of living beings to replenish its owner's blood essence. When the quantity and quality of living beings slain has reached a certain level, the power from the sword will be comparable to the high-tier spiritual grade. The plain-robed elder explained. His eyes looked at the Blood Moon Devouring Spirit Sword with desire. It could be said that this is a perfect creation. It increases the user's strength with its vampire abilities. Simply said, its expenditure was small while having the strength of a high-tier weapon. When the history of this sword was revealed, the auction once again became fiery. Even those at true lord rank couldn't contain their excitement. What the hell? When I obtained this sword, it was definitely broken and only at low tier. When did it become complete? Zhao Feng was stunned. That's right, this Blood Moon Devouring Spirit Sword was the one he had obtained from the Blood Corpse Protector, which he gave to the clan for some rewards. As for why and how the Blood Moon Devouring Spirit Sword was here, Zhao Feng had no clue. The simplest solution was that they found the other part of the sword and a blacksmith master helped out in mending it. Blood Moon Devouring Spirit Sword. Why had it arrived here? What happened to the Broken Moon clan and the 13 countries? Zhao Feng couldn't help but worry. He held a certain fondness towards the Broken Moon clan, which was within his home country. Starting price of the Blood Moon Devouring Spirit Sword 6 million. Every raise must increase by at least 500,000. The plain-robed old man announced. A 6 million starting price was the highest starting price so far. It should be known that normal mid-tier spiritual grade items were only 3 to 4 million. However, the Blood Moon Devouring Spirit Sword only expended energy equivalent to a mid-tier item, but was able to release strength similar to high-tier items, so it couldn't be measured by normal means. This Blood Moon Devouring Spirit Sword can be compared with your 3-flowered treasured lotus, and would cost roughly 10 to 20 million primal crystal stones. Heiyun Master laughed and said. Zhao Feng nodded his head and waited to see how much the Blood Moon Devouring Spirit Sword would go for, as its value was on par with his 3-flowered treasured lotus. 8 million, 8.5 million, 10 million. This weapon was instantly bid for by many experts. The Iron Blood religion, Wind Cloud sect, for major families, and even the Imperials participated in the auction. The Blood Moon Devouring Spirit Sword's price instantly reached 10 million. At this price, one could already buy 2 mid-tier weapons. Normal low-tier spiritual grade items were worth tens of thousands. Only the best were worth millions. The price of mid-tier spiritual grade items would multiply by 10 and the high-tier spiritual grade items would multiply by another 10. Items of high-tier spiritual grade were extremely rare across the northern continent. Of the Water Moon 4 treasures, the Water Moon God Peach Fan was close to the value of a high-tier, whereas the 3-flowered treasured lotus only had the value of a normal high-tier spiritual grade item. The Blood Moon Devouring Spirit Sword hadn't reached high-tier spiritual grade, but it had easily broken through the 10 million barrier. 16 million, 17 million, 20 million. After reaching 20 million, the majority of the competitors gave up. The third stand, which belonged to the Imperials. Oh well, it's just a mid-tier weapon after all, and can only increase its power dramatically in a short amount of time by killing. This weapon is only useful for those trained in the path of demons and slaughtering. We'll save our money and buy the Demon Slaughterer Blade in the future. That's right, the Demon Slaughterer Blade is at the high tier and its power is top class while also countering those trained in the path of demons and ghosts. It's extremely suitable for the Imperials' bloodline. The people from the Imperials gave up on the Blood Moon Devouring Spirit Sword. Finally, the Blood Moon Devouring Spirit Sword was finally bought by the Iron Blood religion for the price of 22 million. I never would have thought that the once half-broken sword would sell for such a high price after being reforged. Zhao Feng couldn't help but sigh. However, it wasn't rare to see the price of items go up by tenfold after going up a tier. He couldn't help but think of his 5-elemental piercing crystal. The 5-elemental piercing crystal was a unique material that could raise a low-tier spiritual grade item by half a tier, and if it was used in sync with some other materials, it could increase an item's rank by a whole tier. 5-elemental primal crystal. It can increase almost every weapon's power, and when used together with the 5-elemental piercing crystal, it can raise an item of the low tier by a whole level. The plain-robed elder said. 5-elemental primal crystal. Zhao Feng's eyes lit up. This was what he was waiting for. The 5-elemental piercing crystal increased sharpness, permeation, and hardness, whereas the 5-elemental primal crystal increased destruction and damage. The quantity of 5-elemental primal crystals are low in number and most of them are of the low tier, but they are still able to increase the power of most weapons. There is high demand for them, but only low supply. The plain-robed elder added. From his words, one could see that both 5 elemental primal crystal and the 5 elemental piercing crystals were rare. Putting the two aside, just getting one was difficult. The starting price of the 5 elemental primal crystal is 800,000. Every raise must be at least 50,000. The plain-robed elder added. A starting price of 800,000 was not high for an item that could increase a low-tier spiritual grade item by half a tier. 900,000. 1 million. There was a large number of competitors, most of them at the true human and true mystic rank. Of the great forces, one of the 4 major families, the Bai family and the Iron Blood religion, also participated. After the price reached 2 million, the Bai family gave up. After all, a mid-tier spiritual grade weapon was worth only a couple million. 2,300,000. Zhao Feng tested. The main competitor right now was the Iron Blood religion. Several people looked over towards the 50th stand. All the other stands had participated in bidding over the past few items, but only the 50th stand was quiet and seemed empty. Who's this retard that dares to fight with the Iron Blood religion? A lot of people snickered, but the weird thing was that after Zhao Feng bid, the Iron Blood religion gave up. The plain-robed elder felt slightly weird as he announced the winner of the 5 elemental primal crystal. Hee, brat, you're also here? A voice abruptly appeared in Zhao Feng's mind, which caused Zhao Feng to jump up in fright. It's you, Lord Tianma. Zhao Feng let out a breath as he recognized the owner of the voice. He didn't think that Tianma's senses would be so powerful as to pass through the protective arrays of the esteemed guest stands. The 4th stand. A blood-hair-colored man sat upright with a smile. Deputy Patriarch, you seem to place a lot of importance on this Zhao Feng. The elder next to him was the protector who had given Zhao Feng the news before. His eye bloodline is extremely unique and is full of potential. More importantly, he had helped me once before. The blood-hair-colored man smiled faintly. The glances of the crowd fell down as they saw that the 50th stand easily bid successfully against the Deputy Patriarch of the Iron Blood religion. Zhao Feng soon received the 5 elemental primal crystal and thought in his heart. With the 5 elemental piercing crystal and the 5 elemental primal crystal, I can now consider which items to upgrade. The auction continued and the items were of slightly inferior or better quality. In this period, Heiyun Master bought some scripts of ancient inheritances or antiques. The only thing that made Zhao Feng sad was that his god spiritual I hadn't seen any holes he could take advantage of. The treasurer inspectors were all skilled and made no mistakes of selling rare items for cheap. Furthermore, inferior items wouldn't even be able to be auctioned here. Next we have a rare item named the Foretelling Ancient Coin, which comes from the Heaven's Legacy Inheritance. The plain-robed elder raised his hand and the true human rank beauty next to him revealed a tattered old coin. Meow meow. The little thieving cat in the spiritual pet bag instantly started to move and jumped out of the bag, but Zhao Feng expressionlessly stuffed it back in. After some discussion, Zhao Feng agreed to do what he could to buy this coin as long as the price didn't exceed 1 million primal crystal stones. The little thieving cat nodded its head incessantly. Under normal situations, the Foretelling Ancient Coin wouldn't go for a high price as not many people used it. The Foretelling Ancient Coin's starting price is 400,000. Every bid must be at least 30,000 higher than the last. The plain-robed elder announced. 450,000. 480,000. Not that many people were paying much attention to this coin. Finally, only the Tian family, Imperials and an elder were participating. 800,000. Zhao Feng instantly raised the price to 800,000. The auction paused for an instant before the Tian family gave up. The elder glanced towards the 50th stand before sighing. Now only Zhao Feng and the Imperials was left. Empress, I heard that you also comprehend the Tao of life. It looks like it's true then. A figure of the true mystic rank smiled faintly. This Foretelling Ancient Coin comes from the Heaven's Legacy Inheritance, and not many coins are in existence. It has a high collective value. As for the Tao of life, I only know a little bit about it. A charming voice full of allure sounded. 1 million. This voice was like a warm stream of water that softened the hearts of the crowd. At that instant, the entire auction fell silent. Many people were charmed due to the voice and could only be mesmerized by it. Qin, Empress Qin. The experts at True Spirit Realm all took a deep breath. 1,000,000. This charming voice made Zhao Feng's body soft and have an unwilling and caring feeling. The experts here felt as if their hearts were melting. There was a saying, heroes can't pass the challenge of beauties. No matter how powerful the hero was, they couldn't beat a beauty's smile. Furthermore, the owner of this voice was the most beautiful woman of the canopy great country, Empress Qin. Empress Qin, I finally found you. Zhao Feng couldn't help but take a deep breath as his figure trembled slightly. Meow meow. The little thieving cat in the spiritual pet bag panicked. Empress Qin had bidded for 1,000,000 and no one currently competed against her. Furthermore, according to the deal between Zhao Feng and the little thieving cat, as long as the price exceeded 1,000,000, Zhao Feng would stop. Poof! The little thieving cat opened its mouth and spat a spiritual grade weapon of the low tier out. It was probably worth around 1,000,000. This was the little thieving cat's personal money. If one's primal crystal stones weren't enough, they could trade other items in addition to it. Okay. Zhao Feng had a smile on his face. He was planning this anyways. 1,100,000. Zhao Feng confidently added another 100,000. This made the spectators somewhat surprised. Who was this person from the 50th stand that could compete against the Iron Blood religion and now the Imperials? Whose wild brat is this to compete against the Empress? Humph. This is the first time that her Empress has bidded. How can she admit defeat? The experts from the Imperials in the third stand let out unsatisfied harumphs. 1,150,000. 1.2 million. Zhao Feng and Empress Qin couldn't see one another, but they were competing through their voices. Empress Qin's voice was clear, crisp, and charming. It sounded as if it was the best sound in the world. On the other hand, Zhao Feng's voice was cold and emotionless, as if he didn't know what emotions were. Finally, even Empress Qin couldn't help but be curious of who the owner of the voice was. The owner didn't seem that old, and he could block her charming, soft voice. Normal people would give up the second that they heard Empress Qin's voice and be too embarrassed to compete. 1,800,000. Zhao Feng's voice was hard and showed no signs of retreat. In the third stand, Empress Qin sighed, "Oh well, I'm not proficient in the Tao of life anyways. You can have it." Those that heard this voice felt as if they should buy the coin and give it to her. In reality, with the imperial strength and wealth, if Empress Qin really wanted the coin, Zhao Feng would find it hard to win. But the Imperials were focusing on something more important, and a price of almost 2,000,000 had exceeded the item's value. If I can see the Empress's beauty, can I give this foretelling ancient coin to you for free? Zhao Feng laughed loudly. Hearing this, the entire auction broke into chaos. Does this kid not fear death? Pursuing Empress Qin in front of everyone. Luckily, the Emperor's not here, or else there'll be a show. Zhezhezhe. Empress Qin's charm is indeed not small. 2,000,000 alone just to witness her looks. Zhao Feng's words instantly caused a wave. Meow meow. The little thieving cat bared its teeth and looked at Zhao Feng in disdain and anger. The third stand. Sure, if you get the foretelling ancient coin, you can come and see me after the auction ends. Empress Qin's sweet voice contained some playfulness to it. Deal. Zhao Feng obviously agreed. He knew that with Empress Qin's wisdom, it wasn't hard for her to see that he wanted to meet her. The foretelling ancient coin was only a saying. After buying the foretelling ancient coin, the prices of the items after it became higher and higher, gradually reaching the several millions and tens of millions mark. Star Darkness Sword, a weapon at the high-tier spiritual grade made from a mysterious material. It can camouflage itself in the darkness and use the power of the stars. It comes from the Seven Sword Inheritance. High-tier spiritual grade, Seven Sword Inheritance. This was definitely an important treasure, and even those at the True Lord rank were full of excitement. Of the four great inheritances, the Seven Sword Inheritance was ranked second and was solely for the Tao of the Sword. In the Scarlet Moon demonic religion era, the Sword Saint Wuxia had received the recognition of the Seven Sword Inheritance. He had comprehended a powerful sword intent and could split rivers with one sword and reduce everything to void with just a thought. He had played a huge part in the defeat of the Scarlet Moon Patriarch. The Star Darkness Sword had come from the Seven Sword inheritance and was immensely powerful. Star Darkness Sword. Starting price 20 million. Every raise must be at least of 1 million. The plain-robed elder waved his hand. Starting price of 20 million. This alone cut off most of the competitors. Only the 8 powerful forces and other top-tier factions were able to participate. After some fierce competition, the Star Darkness Sword was bought by the Qin Sword Palace with a price of 70 million. 70 million. Zhao Feng's heart shook. Every difference in tier would result in a price change of at least 10 times. High-tier spiritual grade items were at the peak of the continent. Zhao Feng had never seen or even heard of peak-tier spiritual grade items. It was the Wheel of Light and Darkness that could have the capabilities of surpassing the high tier with its sharpness and combined power. Zhao Feng thought that the Star Darkness Sword would be the peak and it would be hard to reach another level of the same height. Unexpectedly, the 4th item broke the new record. Demon Slaughterer Blade, high-tier spiritual grade, and comes from the Daguang Lord Country, from 10,000 years ago. Everyone knows that the Daguang Lord Country was destroyed in one night, and ever since then, Lord Countries became only a legend. This Demon Slaughterer Sword is an item from the Daguang Imperials. Apparently, its original grade was at the peak-tier spiritual grade, but after that disaster, it dropped to the high tier. The plain-robed elder summarized its history. The Demon Slaughterer Blade itself was full of power and had the ability to suppress demons and ghosts. Before, it was even a peak-tier spiritual grade weapon. It came from the Daguang Lord Country, which had a high collective and historical value. It might even contain secrets as to why the Lord Country was annihilated. Demon Slaughterer Blade, starting price of 25 million. The plain-robed elder's face was flushed red. 30 million. 40 million. 45 million. A while later, the Demon Slaughterer Sword had been pushed to 70 million and was finally sold for 72 million to the Imperials. Soon, spiritual grade items, techniques and skills which would be hard to obtain outside appeared in the auction. Heaven's Legacy Script. There's only 48 in the world, and every script contains some secrets of the Heaven's Legacy inheritance. With enough scripts, one can calculate the destination and time of the next appearance of the Heaven's Legacy inheritance. Scarlet Moon Incomplete Maps. After accumulating all the 108, one can open the Scarlet Moon inheritance and reach the height of which the Scarlet Moon Patriarch reached. The plain-robed elder auctioned the Scarlet Moon Incomplete Maps and the Heaven's Legacy scripts at the same time. The Heaven's Legacy scripts had 18 different types, with every type copied out 100 times, and had a starting price of 50,000. The Scarlet Moon Incomplete Maps had 68 different types and 100 copies of each, with a starting price of 20,000. Both the Heaven's Legacy scripts and Scarlet Moon Incomplete Maps had an information slip that could only be used once. Collection. Zhao Feng thought about it and gave up. The Heaven's Legacy script and Scarlet Moon Incomplete Map were both sold for high prices. The average price for the Heaven's Legacy script was 120,000 and the Scarlet Moon Incomplete Maps were sold for an average of 50,000. Even Heiyun Master couldn't resist the temptation and he bought 10 Heaven's Legacy scripts. Zhao Feng wasn't moved by this. Fortune was something one could wish for but not get. It wasn't as if you collected these items, the inheritance would open when you wanted it. The auction reached the last critical moment after all the Scarlet Moon inheritance and Heaven's Legacy scripts were sold. Everyone knew that the main items of the auction were the pieces of the Earth-grade weapons and 7 Sword Incomplete Manual. The 7 Sword Incomplete Manual comes from the 7 Sword inheritance and has some connections with the Sword Saint Wuxia. This incomplete manual is apparently said to be hard to comprehend even by those at the true Lord rank. Treasure inspectors found that this skill was originally at an extremely high grade, but because it is incomplete, it is only close to the peak spiritual grade. The first to be sold was the 7 Sword Incomplete Manual. 7 Sword Incomplete Manual starting price, 30 million. The instant this was said, the crowd went into chaos once more. 50 million. 65 million. 8 million. Only when the price reached 80 million did it start slowing down. At this moment, only the Imperial's Iron Blood religion, Qin Sword Palace and Tian family were still competing. 100 million. Everyone give me some face please. A clear voice sounded from the number 1 stand, the first esteemed guest stand. Everyone looked over. At this moment, even the upper echelons of the Imperials and Iron Blood religion had solemn expressions. The crowd fell into silence and the atmosphere became weird. Who is this person that wants everyone to give him face? Why? The people below were somewhat unsatisfied. Although 100 million had almost reached the maximum value of the forces, isn't this person being a bit too arrogant? Greetings, Mystic Sword Sovereign. The plain-robed elder took a deep breath and bowed respectfully towards the first stand. Origin Core Realm Expert. Boom! The auction broke into discussion. Is this really real? There's still Origin Core Realm Sovereigns alive in this continent. Really? If the Origin Core Realm Sovereigns were to exchange blows, the capital might not even be able to handle it. Some people were suspicious while others were excited. The legends said that those at the Origin Core Realm had the power to destroy the heaven and earth. They did not even put a strong country or 8 major forces of the Canopy Great Country in their eyes. What they said could affect everything. However, at this moment the Imperials and Iron Blood religion all remained silent. No one competed against him. From the first stand walked out a green-clothed youth who had a magnificent aura. In one step, he reached the auction stage and in the next step disappeared. Along with him disappearing was the 7-sword incomplete manual. Farewell, Sovereign. The plain-robed elder bowed and an interspatial ring appeared in his hand. When experts at the True Lord rank spread out their spiritual sense for dozens of miles, there was already no signs of the Mystic Sword Sovereign. The appearance of the Origin Core Sovereign had shocked everyone and none of the True Lord ranks could even see his actions. There was only one person who could catch traces of the Mystic Sword Sovereign and that was Zhao Feng, but he didn't dare do so because if he used his God's spiritual eye to lock onto experts at the true mystic rank or higher, they would feel something. No one present had probably actually really witnessed how terrifying the strength of the Sovereign at the Origin Core realm was. Only several hundred years ago, when the Scarlet Moon demonic religion had swept across the continent, did the few Origin Core realm experts appear. This is indeed worthy of being one of the top auctions across the continent. Even experts at the Origin Core realm were attracted. Heiyun Master admired. Zhao Feng restrained himself from opening his God's spiritual eye, which had gone with him step by step in this journey. Back in the countryside areas like the 13 countries, there wasn't even a True Lord rank expert. Even the strongest cultivator in the Broken Moon clan was only at the true human rank. In this continent, great countries were the most powerful, and back in Flooding Lake City, Zhao Feng had read some records which had said that sovereigns at the Origin Core realm didn't exactly live in the same world as humans. Said simply, they were of 2 worlds. After the 7-sword incomplete manual was bought, the Rising Dragon auction only had the last item remaining, pieces of an Earth-grade item. Mortal, spiritual, Earth, Sky. This wasn't just used to distribute skills and talent, it was also used to define weapons. The laws of the world were extremely profound, and when anything such as talent, skill or weapons reached the Earth tier, it was enough to shock the world. In Zhao Feng's mind, only Zhao Yufei seemed to have a unique bloodline which was also a changeable body whose talent was comparable to the Earth-grade body. Piece of an Earth-grade item. The plain-robed elder calmed his emotions down and signaled for the true human rank beauty next to him to reveal an item. It was a metal piece the size of a palm, and its color would change from black to purple to gray when viewed from different directions. Zhao Feng's God's spiritual eye quickly scanned over it, but was pushed back by an invisible power that shook his mental energy and almost made him cough out blood. Items of the Earth grade have surpassed our knowledge. Zhao Feng felt that his actions just then were a bit rash. Earth-grade items were the same as Origin Core sovereigns. They were not to be spied upon, and in reality, most of the spiritual sense of those at the true spirit realm weren't hit by the Earth-grade item. Only those at the true Lord rank felt their heart shake and acted as if they had been struck by lightning. Everyone knows that a divine weapon appeared tens of thousands of years ago, and the Daguang Lord country, which was also a dynasty, was destroyed. Ever since then, dynasties became legends and forbidden. No other country since dared to call themselves a dynasty. The plain-robed elder said. He obviously had to add some detail into the last item. Zhao Feng didn't even hear anything about the dynasties in the 13 countries as it was too far away. In this continent, it was forbidden for any country to call themselves a dynasty. Therefore, the only tiers were small country, strong country, and great country, with great countries being the biggest force. This metal piece has passed through the inspection of several treasure inspection masters, and the material it's made of had indeed surpassed the spiritual grade and confirmed that it is a broken piece of an earth grade item. This piece might be 1/50th or 100th of the complete item, but even then those at the true lord rank would find it hard to control it. More importantly, this piece of earth grade item comes from somewhere else and contains the intent of at least sovereigns at the origin core realm or even a legendary figure. The plain-robed elder smiled and said. Zhao Feng didn't pay much attention to what was said later on. Those at the true lord rank would definitely be eyeing the piece of broken earth grade weapon, which had the intent from experts at the origin core realm. The starting price of the piece of earth grade item is 50 million. Every raise must be at least 1 million. As soon as his words finished, the 8 major factions all started to bid. The material of the piece itself was extraordinary, and it might contain intents of those at the origin core realm. If they were lucky, this could give birth to an origin core realm expert. The Canopy Great Country didn't seem as if they had any origin core realm experts right now, or else the situation wouldn't be so complex. 60 million, 8 million, 85 million. Shout after shout continued. Without a doubt, this broken piece of earth-grade weapon could surpass 100 million. A certain esteemed guest stand. Sigh, this piece of earth-grade item doesn't actually contain the intent of an emperor at the Void God realm, and the intent inside is also very faint. An old lady sighed lightly. Shwa! Her figure flashed and disappeared from her esteemed guest stand with barely anyone realizing anything. The first esteemed guest stand and the second esteemed guest stand were now both empty. When the old lady disappeared, both Zhao Feng and the little thieving cat had a weird feeling and looked in that direction. The fourth esteemed guest stand. Very good, that person's left now. We can bid for it safely now. Deputy Patriarch Tiemo revealed a faint smile. 100 million. The blood-hair-colored man instantly raised the price to 100 million. The auction fell silent an instant before the price started to increase again. When the price reached 120 million, only the Iron Blood religion and the Imperials were still competing. The third esteemed guest stand. AI, the Demon Slaughterer blade and other items before cost us a lot of wealth. The people from the Imperials were slightly regretful because the Iron Blood religion hadn't spent much on anything before. This was especially so for Tiema, who had the Wheel of Light and Darkness that could attack and defend. Normal high-tier spiritual grade treasures could be ignored. Finally, the piece of the Earth grade item was bought by the Iron Blood religion with a price of 160 million. Of course, because the Imperials had bought the Demon Slaughterer blade and other treasures before, they wouldn't be too far off as in terms in usefulness. The Demon Slaughterer blade was actually better than the piece of Earth grade item. With the sale of the Earth grade item, the auction soon ended. Zhao Feng had got quite a lot of stuff from this auction, and the treasures that he had given to the auction had sold for a total of 20 million primal crystal stones. Although this wasn't much compared to the super factions, it was still a lot. The most important thing is that I've found Empress Qin. Zhao Feng was satisfied. Nothing was more important than that. After leaving the esteemed guest stand, Zhao Feng greeted Tiema. Greetings, Deputy Patriarch. Heiyun Master was jumping up and down because he didn't know that Zhao Feng actually knew the Deputy Patriarch. After saying goodbye to the Iron Blood religion, Zhao Feng quickly went towards the palace. Master, we part ways here. Zhao Feng put his hands towards and smiled towards Heiyun Master. Sending him away with his eyes, Heiyun Master had a complex expression and murmured, I didn't think that he would be the mysterious person helping the Deputy Patriarch complete the Wheel of Light and Darkness. So, Zhao Feng's figure became faint as lightning flashed around him. His god's spiritual eye soon locked onto a flying carriage that had a carving of a golden-green phoenix on it. This flying carriage belonged to Empress Qin, and the reason that Zhao Feng locked onto it was because his god's spiritual eye was too attracted to Empress Qin. Empress, I think we're being followed. A maid inside the carriage laughed. In the canopy great country, not many people dared to make any moves on Empress Qin. Wasn't the water moon pirate from 100 years ago an example? This maid was also a beauty, and her cultivation had reached the true lord rank. She obviously wasn't as simple as a normal maid. Zhao Feng floated midair, and 3 foreseeing bronze coins flipped in his palm. Soon, the green-dressed maid came over and smiled. Empress invites you to the water mist pavilion to speak. Sure. Zhao Feng nodded his head and instantly headed towards the direction of the water mist pavilion. He had been in the capital for a few days and had copied the map of the capital into his mind. Although Zhao Feng used all his speed, he was still slightly slower than Empress Qin's flying carriage. A calm, misty area soon appeared not far from the Rising Dragon auction. The Water Mist Pavilion was a high-class cafe that supplied food and tea. Please follow, young master. The green-dressed maid was waiting outside a room. Zhao Feng entered the lounge and could faintly see the figure of a peerless beauty behind a bead curtain. Empress Qin wore a noble dress that draped to the ground and seemed extremely elegant. She had a peerless appearance that seemed to be imprint itself into anyone's mind. Her every action, every smile had a mysterious power that moved the heart. With Zhao Feng's eyesight, the bead curtain couldn't stop him. Even a wall wouldn't be able to. If he was willing, the clothes on Empress Qin could also turn transparent. However, Zhao Feng had to admit that this woman was too charming. The more he looked, the better he felt. It was as if he wanted to give all the best things he had to her. Have you looked enough? A sweet voice sounded which made Zhao Feng had the feeling he was being blessed by a goddess. Behind the bead curtains, Empress Qin's beautiful face had a hint of solemnness in its calmness. Even those at the true lord rank wouldn't be able to resist her charm. But this youth's eyes was still mechanically cold and emotionless. It was as if in his eyes, she was only a pile of blood and bones. Nope, Zhao Feng replied honestly. All he did just then was inspect her and didn't dare delve too deeply since he didn't know what level she was at. Haha, Empress Qin laughed and stood up. It was hard to see such honesty in the palace. What Zhao Feng said was true. The more he looked at Empress Qin, who had the power of charm, the better he felt. In this world, who didn't want perfection? Empress Qin's charm was this kind of perfection. From this perspective, the true Tao of charm wasn't actually as despicable as people thought. Voila! The bead curtains opened and Empress Qin's appearance came fully into view as a wisp of perfume also arrived. You escaped the marriage in the flooding lake city and came all the way here just to see me? You escaped the marriage in the flooding lake city and came all the way here just to see me? Empress Qin smiled as her attractive face appeared in front of him. Every breath, every action of hers expressed charm to its fullest. The smell emitting from her momentarily dazed Zhao Feng. Empress Qin at this moment was like a magnet that would attract men towards her. A hint of blue appeared in Zhao Feng's left eye, which gradually turned his eye fully blue. You actually guessed it? Zhao Feng's heart went cold and took a light breath. It didn't matter whether Empress Qin was testing him or not. She had succeeded. What she had said just then hit Zhao Feng's vital point, and her charm had also made Zhao Feng use his god's spiritual eye and reveal his identity. You are indeed Zhao Feng, the one who flipped the flooding lake city around and now came to the capital. Do you really think I'm as easy to bully as Lu Qinxin? Empress Qin smiled and displayed a playfulness that young girls had. Zhao Feng restrained himself. This Empress Qin had gathered the attitudes of millions of women. She would sometimes be noble and elegant while other times charming. Empress, you wouldn't hand me over to the flooding lake city lord, right? Zhao Feng purposely drooped his face and asked. According to the Iron Blood Religion's news, the Imperials and the flooding lake city lord had both reached an agreement to capture Zhao Feng, and Empress Qin was from the Imperials. Now that she had identified Zhao Feng, what would await him? It was certain that if Empress Qin made her move, Zhao Feng would be captured. After opening the god's spiritual eye, Zhao Feng was certain that Empress Qin's strength had reached the true lord rank. The reason why Empress Qin had such power in the Imperials was because of her own strength, charm, and intelligence. There was even rumors that she had even taken control of the emperor. Empress Qin laughed and said in a sweet tone, Kiki, Lucky you. My relationship with the flooding Lake City Lord isn't very good. Why did you run for millions of miles to the Imperials and come find me? While speaking, she even patted Zhao Feng's shoulder like a girl from next door. Zhao Feng was dazed. This Empress Qin was indeed changeable. Just one person alone, but she could pretend to be anyone. This also heightened his defense. Empress Qin can pretend to be limitless women, meaning that there can be no flaw. This also means that what she says can't be trusted. Zhao Feng's eyes were calm as he quickly analyzed everything. This was Zhao Feng, whose god spiritual I had made him calmer and smarter. At the same time, a light flashed in Empress Qin's eyes. This youth's self-composure and state of heart was terrifying. She had pretended to be different types of women and displayed their attitudes to the fullest. In this world, every man at least liked one type of women. For example, obedient, pure, cute, elegant, noble, etc. However, Empress Qin found that Zhao Feng was like a block of wood and her charms suffered their first defeat. Zhao Feng didn't say anything and silently handed over his master's items to Empress Qin. Half a jade brush and a letter. Empress Qin's expression changed slightly as her hand touched the half-jade brush. This is... Empress Qin fell into a memory as the expression of what a young girl should have flashed past her face. Zhao Feng paused. This was the first time that he had seen Empress Qin lose her composure. What's your relationship with Si Tumo? Empress Qin put away the jade and slowly opened the letter. My master, Zhao Feng answered. Si Tumo was Broken Moon Clan's first elder. Empress Qin silently read the letter as surprise occasionally flashed by her eyes. Zhao Feng waited slowly. There must be some important stuff in that letter. The 13 countries are too far away. Furthermore, the Canopy Great Country is split. Unless it is united, there's no chance of helping the 13 countries. Empress Qin said straightly. Zhao Feng wasn't surprised at this result. Your master doesn't have any confidence in saving the 13 countries. His only wish is for me to help you. Empress Qin smiled faintly. Flash. Her hand squeezed and the letter was shredded into powder. Zhao Feng's expression froze. He didn't know Empress Qin's thoughts and meaning. This person could act out every type of women. Who knew what she thought? Furthermore, Zhao Feng had a bad feeling. Since you're his disciple, I won't mistreat you. How about I take you in as my stepson? Empress Qin asked. Stepson? Zhao Feng was puzzled and felt as if he wasn't catching up to her in terms of thoughts. For normal people, to become the emperor and an empress's stepson was something they would wish for. Thanks for Empress's intentions. Zhao Feng immediately declined. He already had parents and an extra stepmother was against him. Oh well, you first stay in the capital. When I go back, I'll find the emperor, and if you're willing I can recommend you to the Qin sword sect. Empress Qin continued. As the meeting with Empress Qin was about to end, Zhao Feng soon remembered something else. Empress. There's something else someone told me to give to you personally. Zhao Feng took out a jade petal. In reality, this jade petal was an extension of the 3-flowered treasured lotus, and the Water Moon Pirate's will was hidden in here. In the will, it said that the person who received the Water Moon treasury should give this petal personally to Empress Qin. After Zhao Feng had refined the 3-flowered treasured lotus, he had received the information. You. Empress Qin's voice started to tremble as her snow-white skin started to turn red. Wang. A faint red lotus symbol appeared on Empress Qin's forehead. Empress Qin instantly felt powerless, and she couldn't control her emotions. This? What the heck is going on? Zhao Feng was stunned. A charming beauty who had no resistance was right in front of him, and she was the most beautiful woman of the great country. If it was another normal man, they would probably give in and do something. Zhao Feng immediately then felt the petal on his hand become hot, and then a fiery aura extended throughout his body to flood his consciousness. At the same time, Empress Qin's lotus symbol became brighter and redder. This empress who specialized in charm felt her whole body go on fire and her eyes became dreamy, but she still resisted with all she could. However, her body still could do some actions like taking off her dress and revealing her body. Not good. Zhao Feng almost couldn't control his emotions and his lower body became hard. At the critical moment, inside the dimension of Zhao Feng's left eye, the faint blue pond lit up. Instantly, Zhao Feng's mental energy was frozen and he was able to control his body. This water moon pirate still even has calculations. Zhao Feng's god's spiritual eye thought. The petal in his hand had a unique relationship with the lotus on Empress Qin's forehead. Through the petal, he could control Empress Qin's emotions. This meant that the battle 100 years ago, Empress Qin didn't completely win. Although the water moon pirate failed, he was still able to pass through the mystic flower treasured Bible and leave the secret technique on Empress Qin. Once someone got the water moon treasury and took out the petal, they could play as much as they wanted with Empress Qin and even enslave her. Terrifying. What devastating calculation. Zhao Feng's heart went cold. If water moon pirate could think like that, the Empress Qin who had beaten him would also not be a simple figure. Just as Zhao Feng thought about the reasons, Empress Qin's powerful will allowed her to manage to control the lotus on her forehead. Kill him, Empress Qin coldly shouted. But this was her limit as her entire body was numb. Although the water moon pirate had succeeded in calculating Empress Qin, the latter had also made improvements and had now reached the true lord rank. Sister Qin Xin. The green-dressed beauty outside exclaimed and charged in. But the scenery made her dazed. The perfect image of Empress Qin in her mind was now half-naked in front of a youth. Kill him. Empress Qin's face was cold and her eyes revealed killing intent. This killing intent wasn't just because of the petal in Zhao Feng's hand, but something that had been there long ago. Bastard! How dare you calculate against the Empress? Die! The green-dressed beauty roared and her chi of true spirit turned into green snakes that slithered towards Zhao Feng. The arrival of the green-dressed girl let Empress Qin let out a breath. With her personal servant here, it was enough to kill him. Lightning wave of destruction. Arcs of lightning surrounded Zhao Feng and forcefully broke through the green-dressed girl's attacks. The lightning wave of destruction was a stronger version of the ring of lightning, and it could continuously send out waves of lightning that would numb and burn the enemy. Not good, because the green-dressed girl had to protect the powerless Empress Qin. She could only switch some of her power from offense to defense. Boom! The exchange of the power at the true spirit realm instantly caused the place to split apart. The expressions of Empress Qin and the green-dressed girl both changed drastically as they could only watch Zhao Feng escape. The two obviously hadn't thought that Zhao Feng was strong enough to break through the attacks of the true spirit realm. Die! The green-dressed female was angered because just then she had to protect the Empress and couldn't go full out. Facing the counterattack of the green-dressed girl, Zhao Feng didn't panic and opened his bloodline power, which made his power of lightning surge, creating wave after wave of even stronger lightning that scorched the earth. The energy in lightning wave of destruction could even slow down experts at the true human rank. Furthermore, Zhao Feng had the water moon pirate's source of true spirit within him, so he didn't need to worry about the expense of true force. Shameless bastard! The green-dressed girl blocked Zhao Feng's attack, but the important thing was that the energy from the lightning wave of destruction still rippled towards Empress Qin behind her. Empress Qin, this petal was given to me in the will of the water moon pirate and not my own intentions. Why are you so intent on killing me? Zhao Feng asked. According to what First Elder said, the receiver of the letter had a connection with him. Even if it was just because of this, Empress Qin's killing intent shouldn't be this strong. Kill him. Empress Qin's face was icy cold and she didn't even bother explaining. If she wasn't affected by the lotus and the petal in Zhao Feng's hand, she would have already charged up and ripped Zhao Feng into shreds. Zhao Feng's mind quickly spun. There was two situations right now. One, Empress Qin didn't care about her past relationship and was bent on killing Zhao Feng for certain reasons. Two, Empress Qin wasn't actually the person he was finding. It didn't matter which one it was, both were bad for him. This action here soon attracted other people within the water mist pavilion. I must escape from this place. Zhao Feng's in-shadow cloak flapped and his figure became faint as he charged towards the trees near the bank. Buyer, we must kill him. Send down the order to say that Zhao Feng wanted to rape me and put out a warrant for him across the entire country. Empress Qin shouted. Understood, Empress. The green-dressed girl turned into a green figure that followed after Zhao Feng, but she didn't expect the latter's senses to be so powerful as to hear Empress Qin's last order. His expression dimmed and turned around. Empress Qin, I respect that you're my elder, but even if you were calculated by the Water Moon Pirate, you shouldn't treat me like so. In reality, it was already incredible for Zhao Feng to reach this step. Brat, to try and mistreat the Empress. Just die. The green-dressed female followed Empress Qin's order to kill instead of capture him. Humph. Zhao Feng's figure paused and his blue hair blew in the wind. A faint blue eye as cold as ice turned around and faced the green-dressed girl. A chilling coldness from mental energy filled the air. Buyer, don't look at his eye. Empress Qin was knowledgeable and instantly warned her. Zhao Feng's mental energy technique was based on the source of mental energy, and the god spiritual eye's source of mental energy was terrifying. This was why no one in the same realm could withstand an eye from Zhao Feng. If his opponent dodged Zhao Feng's left eye, his power would decrease by 40% or more. However, Empress Qin's warning was already slightly late. The green-dressed girl's body trembled as she looked into Zhao Feng's eye for one breath. Plop! Her entire body was soaked with cold sweat, and she lay on the ground unmoving like Empress Qin. This scene shocked Empress Qin. At the same time, Zhao Feng's god spiritual eye seemed to sense something from several directions. One true mystic rank, two true human rank, and many more experts are coming over. Zhao Feng took a deep breath. He knew that he had no way of retreat now. If there was only one or two true human rank experts, he didn't need to fear them, but experts at the true mystic rank had exceeded his limit in terms of speed and strength. Shua! Since he was already on the bad side, he leapt towards Empress Qin. You! Empress Qin's figure was numb, and she couldn't control herself. At this point in time, the green-dressed girl's mental energy was depleted, and she couldn't support her own body and could only see Zhao Feng approach Empress Qin. Empress Qin secretly circulated her qi of true spirit. Although she had been calculated by the Water Moon Pirate, she was still at the True Lord rank, and a wisp of her qi of true spirit could kill Zhao Feng if he approached. A wisp of qi of true spirit from a True Lord rank could suppress those at the True Human rank, and Zhao Feng hadn't even reached the True Spirit realm yet. However, all her actions had been controlled by Zhao Feng. Showwow! A dark silver belt around Zhao Feng's waist turned into a whip that wrapped around Empress Qin. In the Water Moon Treasury, the mystic snake blood whip's value was closest to the Water Moon 4 treasures, as it could increase its power from sucking the blood of living beings. Shoo! Empress Qin was wrapped by the mystic snake blood whip, and her blood essence was slowly being drained. If it was a cultivator the ascended realm, their blood essence would be sucked out in just a breath of two. Hence, her condensation of the wisp of qi of true spirit was broken. As Zhao Feng came closer, the petal on his hand became hotter, and the faint red mark on Empress Qin's forehead became brighter. The jade petal's aura would also affect Zhao Feng. Guard her, Zhao Feng seemed to say to the air. Meow meow. The little thieving cat jumped onto Empress Qin's shoulder and took control of the mystic snake blood whip. Wang. A 3-colored lotus appeared under Zhao Feng's feet as he kidnapped Empress Qin and ran towards the outer edges of the capital. At the same time, the sound of people flying through the air could be heard. 1 true mystic rank and 2 true human rank experts nearby had arrived. If any dares come closer, I'll kill her, Zhao Feng said emotionlessly as his eye turned blue. Meow meow. The little thieving cat nodded its head and gripped the mystic snake blood whip tighter. It was extremely familiar with tricking people. A faint mark appeared on Empress Qin's snow-white neck. Stop! The expressions of the nearby True Spirit Realm experts all changed. The scene in front of them stunned them. Empress Qin's clothes were half taken off, and her servant was lying on the ground sweating and unmoving. This led them to think about other things. No one dared to come close to Zhao Feng and maintain their distance. Zhao Feng's 3-flowered treasured lotus was even a bit faster than normal true human rank experts when going all out. Quickly, tell the Imperials. Tell the Emperor that someone's kidnapped the Empress, and it seems to be the inheritor of the Water Moon Pirate. News after news flew across the air. In just half the time it took to make tea, the entire capital was shocked. Because of the Rising Dragon auction, there were more true spirit realm experts than usual. Oh my God! Am I seeing things clearly? Someone kidnapped the Empress. 3-flowered treasured lotus. He's probably the inheritor of the water moon pirate. Don't go close and watch out for the poison. The true spirit realm experts in the air clucked their tongues. The water moon pirate's fame from 100 years ago still existed. His poisons could kill experts at the true spirit realm invisibly, and he was unrivaled against all those under the true lord rank. Zhao Feng held Empress Qin hostage and passed through the walls of the capital. But right at this moment, a terrifying aura filled the air. The air above seemed to crackle with lightning. This was the heaven-earth Yuan-Chi moving. Unknowing brat, you better surrender now. An ancient voice boomed through the air like a god issuing an order. True lord rank. At this moment, the experts nearby all held their breaths. Zhao Feng's god's spiritual eye could see the movement of the heaven-earth Yuan-Chi. It's not the true lord rank. It's most likely the half-step origin core realm. He took a deep breath and scanned around him but didn't find any traces. The more important the moment was, the more the god's spiritual eye would twitch. His left eye saw through 100 miles and estimated that the owner of the sound was still quite far from him. If anyone dares to come within a 50 miles radius, I'll immediately kill her or do some unseeable things in public. Zhao Feng's expression went cold as he ignored the terrifying power in the air. Everyone retreat. Empress Qin finally lost her composure. She specialized in charm, and if her fame was destroyed, then her foundation in the Imperials that she had built for 100 years would be reduced to nothing. Furthermore, there were still people in the Imperials that would love to see her die. At this moment in time, everyone within a 50-mile radius were removed by the Imperials. The upper echelons of the Imperials, the Emperor, elders, generals, all arrived. At this instant, the entire capital was stunned. Don't harm Qin. The Emperor was a bulky brown-haired man who had immediately evacuated the people nearby after seeing Empress Qin captured. Zhao Feng's god spiritual eye scanned around the 50 miles radius and his expression fell. In the northeast direction, there's someone on the tree, and in the clouds there's 2. Beside the river there's 4. All of his targets were all at least at the half-step true spirit realm or higher. As he said this, the Imperials were all shocked. Although they had cleared the people, they had obviously sent in others to form a rescue team and didn't expect Zhao Feng's eyes to be so bright. Putting aside a human, even an ant wouldn't escape his eyes. This kid's eye bloodline power is terrifying. Call everyone back. The Emperor said helplessly. The other elders and generals all looked at each other. Emperor Qin's status in the Imperials was extremely high and the Emperor was in love with her. No one would have thought that a youth who hadn't even reached the true human rank could capture Empress Qin. One had to know that Empress Qin had reached the true lord rank and cultivated in the Tao of entertainment and charm. Although not specialized in combat, it was still enough to destroy anyone under the true lord rank. Back then, even the water moon pirate was defeated by her. What was more scary was that his eye bloodline power could see through the air and everything was useless. Right at this moment, the heaven-earth Yuan-Chi began to jump around and condense to an aura that seemed almost able to move the heavens. This aura was like a sovereign that descended and would make all other beings kneel. Grand Elder. The Imperials, including the Emperor himself, all bowed down. Joy flashed in Empress Qin's eyes. With Grand Elder's half-step origin core realm cultivation, he had many moves that he could use to save her, even from dozens of miles away. Just a thought alone from him could make the mind of normal true human rank experts crumble. At this instant, the power of the half-step origin core realm spread across a radius of 100 miles and the heaven-earth Yuan-Chi was forming different types of sceneries. An elder holding a dragon-headed staff had appeared on the city wall. His wrinkled face was expressionless. Greeting Grand Elder. This one sees Elder Long Mu. The experts at the true spirit realm, including the Emperor himself, all respectively bowed down. The Canopy Great Country Imperials had been on the northern continent for tens of thousands of years, and they obviously had experts that held the fort. Grand Elder Long Mu was one of them. Grand Elder, as long as you make your move, that brat will be powerless to resist, the Canopy Great Country's Emperor said. No one was doubtful of the Grand Elder's strength. This brat's eye bloodline power is not simple, so I can't control him from the mental energy level. Furthermore, the pet cat he has is also unusual. Elder Longmu stared at the scene and didn't make any rash moves. Empress Qin's status was ranked in the top 3 of the Imperials. Her own cultivation had reached the True Lord rank, and the Imperials only had a few of them. The more important thing was that Empress Qin was the bridge between the Imperials and the Lu family. Empress Qin played a huge part in why the Lu main family would support the Imperials. If they lost the Lu family's support, the Imperials' respect and power would diminish, and they may even lose to the Iron Blood religion. Dozens of miles away, Zhao Feng didn't panic from the current situation. The little thieving cat controlled the mystic snake blood whip and held Express Qin hostage. The aura from the half-step origin core realm didn't affect it much. Meow meow. The little thieving cat even bared its teeth and made a face. These actions obviously didn't escape Grand Elder's senses. Zhao Feng's calm and composed manner was also seen by Elder Long Mu. Little friend. Release the Empress, surrender, and maybe you'll have a chance. Elder Long Mu's old voice was like a voice of the gods that almost crumbled the minds of people who dared to resist. Zhao Feng's left eye flashed blue, and a cold blue light stabilized his mind. Inside the dimension of his left eye, the freezing pond only rippled. The god's spiritual eye's source of mental energy was unfathomable, but most of the power couldn't be controlled by Zhao Feng. Of course, when Zhao Feng was attacked, most of the mental energy would be weakened. In terms of single combat, Elder Long Mu could slay Zhao Feng with one finger, but his mental energy level hadn't reached a point where Zhao Feng would instantly surrender. The situation isn't this simple. If it's this brat alone, I have many more moves. Elder Long Mu's expression turned slightly solemn as he looked far away. Zhao Feng's god spiritual eye could see part the dozens of miles and the situation on the city wall. On top of the 3-flowered treasured lotus, Empress Qin was powerless, but her breathing rate started to calm down. After all, she was at the True Lord rank and was starting to control the red seal on her forehead. The Mystic Peach Seal is made to counter women, and it is a secret technique of the Mystic Flower Treasured Bible. However, the Water Moon Pirate has underestimated my improvement. Empress Qin didn't move. She was waiting for her body to get used to the Mystic Peach Seal, and when 10 to 20% of her Qi of True Spirit recovered, she could counterattack. However, the pressure Empress Qin faced wasn't just so. There was also Zhao Feng's Mystic Snake Blood Whip, which was slowly sucking her blood essence. These reasons restricted her ability to recover. Zhao Feng, are you interested in listening to a story? You probably don't know why I have to kill you. Empress Qin's beauty was enough to destroy countries and men. Even Zhao Feng's heart rate sped up a bit. Although his god spiritual eye made him extremely logical, it was instinctual to pursue perfection. Sure. Zhao Feng nodded his head in interest, even though he had somehow felt that Empress Qin was getting used to the Mystic Peach Seal. There used to be a wise person that took in 3 female disciples. The first disciple chose the Tao of Life, the second the Tao of Charm, and the third the Tao of Entertainment. At that time, the 3 females were all young but walked different paths of life. Empress Qin fell into her memory and revealed the rare pure expression. Because of the distance, apart from Elder Long Mu, almost no one heard their conversation. I've heard this story. Zhao Feng nodded his head faintly. The wise person had different plans for the 3 disciples. One of the females met a handsome youth in a faraway village and fell in love with him. But at the end, she chose her inheritance and left that village and came back to the populated city. Speaking up to hear, Empress Qin paused slightly. Zhao Feng obviously understood that that female disciple was Empress Qin and the faraway village was the 13 countries. This is the first reason I want to kill you, Empress Qin said expressionlessly. Zhao Feng's mind shook. Empress Qin was colder than he thought. But thinking about it, it was understandable. No matter how much they loved each other back then. So many years had gone by and now Empress Qin stood at the top of a great country. There wasn't much connection between the two. First Elder was only an ex-boyfriend who came from a small village. How would she allow an ex-boyfriend to disrupt her current life when she had already become the empress of a great country? Therefore, knowing that Zhao Feng was First Elder's disciple, Empress Qin had some killing intent, but she was somewhat hesitant. Secondly, you're engaged to Lu Qinxin and senior martial sister died to change her destiny. You're also a key factor. Empress Qin's eyes were cold. Zhao Feng stood silently and didn't think that there would be this connection as well. Empress Qin and his fiancée were on opposite sides. Zhao Feng was once again pushed towards Empress Qin's enemy's side. At first, I only wanted to keep you in the dark, then kill you without you knowing. I never expected you to inherit the Water Moon Pirate's will and have the mystic peach flower seal. Empress Qin harumphed coldly. Hearing this, Zhao Feng shook his head and smiled. If the person holding the mystic peach flower seal was strong enough, they could probably directly enslave you. Empress Qin stayed silent but didn't disagree. Zhao Feng's connections with First Elder and Lu Qinxin were problems only in the future and not critical. Empress Qin didn't even try to kill Zhao Feng in the Water Mist Pavilion until Zhao Feng took out the Mystic Peach Flower Seal. Water Moon Pirate, I don't know whether you've helped me or not. Zhao Feng sighed in his heart. Empress Qin fell into silence and her eyes were calm. Currently, her chi of true spirit had recovered 10% but purposely pretended to not have realized. Although she could escape right now, she wasn't confident enough to kill Zhao Feng. Pa! A condensed ball of lightning shot from Zhao Feng's palm and hit Empress Qin. At the same time, the little thieving cat tugged the mystic snake blood whip. You! Empress Qin could only circulate that 10% chi of true spirit which was dissipated by Zhao Feng and the little thieving cat. Her body became numb again and the symbol became redder. Zhao Feng estimated the distance and calculated that they were around 100 miles away from the capital. Grand Elder Long Mu and several experts followed closely behind but didn't make any moves. Greetings, Lord Tianma. Zhao Feng smiled and looked towards a hill a dozen miles away, as a gold token imprinted with a red crystal appeared in his hand. Gold Iron Blood Order Token. Chio! The blood-colored gold token turned into a blood-colored mist that shone with gold. Ha ha ha. I was going to keep on continuing to watch the show, but I didn't think that you'd find me. A long laugh came from the hill and the next instant, a golden sedan with a symbol of a blood dragon and a sword and blade intersecting appeared. For sedan carriers at the true human rank floated over towards Zhao Feng. Golden Spear Blood Dragon Sedan. The expressions of the experts of the Imperials all changed. Elder Long Mu's eyebrows furrowed together. In the Canopy Great Country, not many people didn't recognize the Golden Spear Blood Dragon Sedan. Even if they didn't, they would know the legend. Golden Spear Blood Dragon Sedan, Deputy Patriarch of the Iron Blood Religion. Empress Qin's expression tensed and her calm face turned solemn. No matter how bad the situation was before, she wasn't as moved as this. Tianma, are you really going to protect this brat? Elder Long Mu's old voice resounded within dozens of miles. The blood-hair-colored Tianma walked out of the Golden Spear Blood Dragon Sedan to greet Zhao Feng. Zhao Feng is my Iron Blood Religion's guest. If Empress Qin didn't attack first, he wouldn't have put himself in such a state. Tianma snickered coldly. Although his cultivation was slightly weaker than Elder Long Mu, he still retorted back. Especially after the Wheel of Light and Darkness was forged, Tianma was even stronger. Let go of Empress Qin and everything here today will just be an accident. Or else with just you here, you won't be able to escape unharmed under the frenzied attacks of me and the other few true lord ranks. Elder Long Mu's face was slightly ugly. He had already going back a step by saying this. Fine, let her go. After reaching the agreement, Tianma was very decisive. Zhao Feng nodded his head and kicked Empress Qin towards them without saying any more. Zhao Feng nodded his head and then expressionlessly kicked Empress Qin, who had the looks to destroy a country, towards them. This move made the blood-colored man dazed and the Grand Elder's pupils contracted. The other following upper echelons of the Imperials were all stunned. Could Zhao Feng's heart be made of stone? To kick the most beautiful female in the great country without saying anything? Furthermore, Empress Qin was an elder to him. However, the situation wasn't as simple. The second Zhao Feng kicked her. A cold light flashed in Empress Qin's eyes and the bright red flush on her face faded by over half, and a multicolored chi of true spirit spun towards Zhao Feng. Empress Qin's had counterattacked. Unknowingly, Empress Qin had recovered 10 to 20% control of her chi of true spirit, and at this critical moment, she fought back. "Watch out!" the blood-colored Tianma exclaimed, but he didn't have enough time to interfere. "After killing Zhao Feng and destroying the mystic peach flower seal, I'll be able to instantly regain my full true lord rank strength. I won't even need to fear the deputy patriarch of the Iron Blood religion that much, and when Grand Elder and company arrive, we might even be able to kill Tianma." Empress Qin's eyes flashed with killing intent as the multicolored chi of her true spirit shook and shot towards Zhao Feng. This was a shocking turning point. Once Empress Qin succeeded, not only would Zhao Feng die, even the entire situation of the great country would change. Clever. Indeed worthy of being the Empress. The eyes of the Imperials lit up. However, the instant Empress Qin attacked, Zhao Feng had already kicked out and was half a step faster than Empress Qin. The two were both on the three-flowered treasured lotus, and the short distance wouldn't be able to be covered by cultivation. Meow meow. The little thieving cat screeched, and although the mystic snake blood whip had been shaken off by Empress Qin's chi of true spirit, it decisively let go of the whip and swiped towards Empress Qin. Bam! Zhao Feng's leg hit Empress Qin. Boom! Zhao Feng grunted and almost spat out a mouthful of blood. But his leg contained the power of lightning and the source of true spirit from the water moon pirate, and this made Empress Qin's figure stiffen slightly as she retreated. The current Empress Qin could only use 10 to 20% of her strength, and she obviously didn't gain any advantage after Zhao Feng got the first hit. Pa! The little thieving cat's paw glinted coldly and slashed Empress Qin's face. Shwa! Empress Qin's protective chi of true spirit was ripped apart, and her dazzling figure was pushed out of the three-flowered treasured lotus. A red gash had appeared on her beautiful face. Meow meow. The little thieving cat licked the blood on its claws and made a face at Empress Qin. This cat! Empress Qin was so angry that she was trembling. An empress such as herself had been slapped in the face by a cat. Although her counterattack just then didn't succeed, it was on par with Zhao Feng, but she had underestimated this cat. What a cat! Tianma exclaimed as he arrived from behind. Zhao Feng took out the mystic peach flower seal, and Empress Qin's expression changed as she immediately went back towards Grand Elder and company. After the failure of the counterattack, she had to admit that she was the one disadvantaged. The reason why Zhao Feng won wasn't because of his intelligence, strength, or guts. He wasn't fighting alone. Behind him was the calculation of the water moon pirate, which had developed for 100 years. Even under this situation, Empress Qin had almost succeeded. From this, one could see her dangerousness. Even Tianma had sweated coldly. Having the mystic peach flower seal meant that Zhao Feng had restricted Empress Qin, who had the battle power of a true lord rank. Come with me to the sedan. Tianma pulled Zhao Feng into the Golden Spear Blood Dragon sedan. At this moment in time, Grand Elder Long Mu, Empress Qin, 2 other true lord ranks, and 5 true mystic ranks all faced the Golden Spear Blood Dragon sedan. Elder Long Mu, why aren't we using this chance to finish off Tianma? As long as we kill or severely injure him, the situation of the Canopy Great Country will change. Everyone knows that the patriarch of the Iron Blood religion in deep sleep is a sham. One Tianma isn't our match. The upper echelons discussed, but Grand Elder Long Mu and Empress Qin were both calm. Empress Qin, what do you think? Grand Elder Long Mu turned towards Empress Qin. The success rate is only 50%. The Iron Blood religion's power have been in the capital for many years. Everyone knows Tianma's strength. With the wheel of light and darkness, his offense and defense is perfect. Furthermore, the Golden Spear Blood Dragon sedan is an inheritance item from the Iron Blood religion patriarch, and it can ignore attacks from those at the true human rank, weaken the attacks of those at the true mystic rank by 70% and those at the true lord rank by 30%. It can be said that with this they are impenetrable. Empress Qin wasn't blinded by hatred. Although there was a scratch on her face, it didn't make her ugly but made others want to protect her even more. In reality, she had another problem, and that was Zhao Feng's mystic peach flower seal and 3-flowered treasured lotus. The mystic peach flower seal countered her, and the 3-flowered treasured lotus could release 3 smells that could affect those at the true spirit realm. Combined with the golden spear blood dragon sedan, it was like adding wings to a tiger. Therefore, the success rate of the Imperials was very low and Empress Qin would be disadvantaged. Zhao Feng sat in the comfy sedan and had a safe feeling. Even his god-spiritual eye found it hard to see through the material that the golden spear blood dragon sedan was created from. Zhao Feng, if you hand out the mystic peach flower seal, we'll let you go, the Emperor of the Canopy Great Country said. If the Imperials take away my warrant and don't harm the people close to me or myself, I'll destroy the mystic peach flower seal myself in 3 years' time. Zhao Feng responded. With the mystic peach flower seal at hand, Empress Qin would have to think about calculating against him or the Broken Moon clan. The reason why he said 3 years was that Zhao Feng realized that the mystic peach flower seal's power was gradually decreasing after being used this time, and it would pose no more threat to Empress Qin after 3 years. Deal. Keep your promise. Empress Qin nodded her head. At worst, all she needed to do was hide for 3 years, and even if Zhao Feng returned after then, she would still try her best to resolve the Water Moon Pirates' calculations. After the 2 sides reached an agreement, the Golden Spear Blood Dragon sedan left with the 4 true human rank sedan carriers. The Imperials sent the Golden Spear Blood Dragon sedan away with their eyes. Grand Elder Emperor, Empress, we're just going to let them go? After this incident, where will the power of the Imperials be? Some of the upper echelons couldn't restrain themselves. A measly youth at the Ascended Realm had kidnapped their Empress, and they could only send him away with their eyes. This was a large blow to the Imperials' name. If we can't even restrain ourselves at such a small thing, then it'll be chaos when something big happens. The Iron Blood religion's strength suppresses us by a bit right now, and they still have their patriarch whose life and death is unknown. The Grand Elder faintly shook his head. Yes, we admit that the Iron Blood religion patriarch is strong. Several hundred years ago, he participated in destroying the Scarlet Moon Patriarch and was an expert that fought with the Scarlet Moon Religion Patriarch. But several hundred years have gone by, and the lifespan of normal sovereigns at the Origin Core realm are 500 to 800 years old. Back then, the Iron Blood Religion Patriarch was severely injured and is said to be sleeping, but I'm suspicious that he's already dead. Even if he's still alive, he wouldn't be as strong as before, or else the Iron Blood religion would have united the great country already, and maybe even reached the peak of a 1-star clan. One brown-haired true lord-ranked elder said unwillingly. Elder Shui Xian, what you say may be correct. But right now is a very unique point in time for the Northern Continent, Middle Continent, and even the 10 great factions. Grand Elder Long Mu faintly smiled. Hearing this, the people present all started thinking. You're talking about the sacred true dragon gathering. The eyes of the people present lit up. You guys know the grandiosity of the sacred true dragon gathering. Every 10 years, only true geniuses that have gathered enough fortune can open the 4 great inheritances. In the past 10,000 years, the Heaven's Legacy inheritance has appeared once, 7 Sword inheritance twice, and other big and small ones totaling 100 times. Grand Elder paused. The sacred true dragon gathering is the green flower area and several other areas fortune. The 10 great factions and every great country as well as Origin Core realm sovereigns all have recommendations. This contributes to a great country's future. If they're able to enter the inheritance and bring out powerful weapons and secret techniques, it can change the destiny of a great country. Empress Qin nodded her head with a smile, and expectation glowed in her eyes. Within the Golden Spear Blood Dragon sedan. Thank you, Deputy Patriarch, for your help. Zhao Feng was full of gratitude. This time he used the Gold Iron Blood Order token, and the Iron Blood religion paid off their debt. Tianma inspected him for a moment before saying, Zhao Feng, I've still underestimated your potential and courage. Now that you're enemies with the Imperials, Lu family, and even Qin's Sword Palace, where are you going to go? Zhao Feng was lost when he heard this question. He had already completed his master's mission, but the receiver of the letter had tried to kill him. After offending the Flooding Lake City Lord and Imperials, where should I go? Zhao Feng was indeed lost. There was no place to put his roots down. Return back to the 13 countries? The situation there wouldn't be better than here. On the contrary, Staying here meant more resources and fortune. If you're willing, I can promote you to a chapter leader of the Iron Blood religion and give you your own territory which is as populated as a small country. Tiamat obviously admired Zhao Feng. Although he had paid Zhao Feng back, he was still offering his assistance and willing to promote Zhao Feng to a chapter leader. This meant that if Zhao Feng was willing, the territory he controlled would be comparable to the Cloud Country. In the Iron Blood religion, only those at the true mystic rank had the right to become a chapter leader. From this, one could see how much importance Tiamat put on Zhao Feng. The thing was that Zhao Feng right now had no place to stay and danger was close by. I'm willing to enter the Iron Blood religion. Zhao Feng agreed. Zhao Feng agreed without hesitation. In the Canopy Great Country, he had no foothold and nowhere to stay. Right now, he was like a rootless weed that floated around aimlessly. Ever since the Alliance Banquet, Zhao Feng had reached the trough of his life. After entering the Great Country, he had been warranted for by the major forces. Whereas the Iron Blood religion admired Zhao Feng and helped him. Even if it was a wicked force, Zhao Feng wouldn't reject them. After experiencing so much wind and rain, he didn't have a clear idea of righteous or wicked anymore. Furthermore, Zhao Feng still had a wish deep in his heart, and that was to go back to the 13 countries when he had enough strength and power. Zhao Feng, the reason that I admired you before was because of your eye bloodline. But after you escaped from the marriage in the flooding lake city, and fought in the Water Moon Treasury, then kidnapped Empress Qin while retreating fully unharmed, I've given your talent, potential, and courage a higher ranking. The blood-hair-colored Tiamat had a deep smile on his face. Zhao Feng's heart moved slightly. He didn't think that all his actions weren't able to escape the Iron Blood religion's eyes. Escaping the marriage and kidnapping the Empress were both shocking things, but the Water Moon Treasury was far away and it didn't happen long ago. If the Iron Blood religion was able to find the truth so quickly, its forces weren't to be underestimated. I've actually got a big fortune for you that you can try after entering the Iron Blood religion. Tiamat paused. Big fortune? Zhao Feng was extremely sensitive to these words. It was certain that fortune, such as the Water Moon Treasury, wasn't considered big. Of the Water Moon 4 treasures, the only one that could enter his eye was the 3-flowered treasured lotus, but he might not even use it. It's the most grand scared true dragon gathering of the green flower continent. Every prodigy that participates will lead the fortune of geniuses, and every one of them are the children of heaven. Tiamat summarized. Scared true dragon gathering. Zhao Feng had heard about it in ancient records, but he didn't think that the true source was here. The 13 countries was too far away, and not knowing this was usual. The sacred true dragon gathering is the stage of the continent, and the eyes of the entire continent will be gathered there. For most geniuses, they would die with no regrets if they're able to participate. However, most of them won't even have the right to participate. Tiamat sighed. Zhao Feng clucked his tongue. How many geniuses would there be on this continent? According to Empress Qin, the Cloud Country, which was Zhao Feng's homeland, was a desolate village. Above villages were cities, capitals, and countries. Just a village alone had produced Zhao Feng, Xian Wuheng, Bei Moi, Song Yue, Lin Tong, and Zhao Yufei. How many of geniuses like them would the entire continent have? And how many would be even stronger? Thinking up to here, Zhao Feng couldn't contain his excitement and the blood within him started to boil. Tiamat saw Zhao Feng's change in attitude and smiled. When the blessing brought by the geniuses at the sacred true dragon gathering all get together, there's a chance for it to connect to the inheritances of the outside areas. For example, the Heaven's Legacy Inheritance, 7-Sword Inheritance. Of course, these big inheritances rarely appear, and the Heaven's Legacy Inheritance only appears once every 10,000 years, which is a 1% chance. Through the sacred true dragon gathering, there's also chances of connecting with other inheritances of different scales. Zhao Feng understood why the sacred true dragon gathering would attract the entire continent, of which even the 10 great forces, great countries, and major sects would all send their prodigies. If one was able to participate in the sacred true dragon gathering, it meant that they would be able to fight with geniuses from other continents. Would there be any chances of seeing geniuses from the 13 countries or the Iron Dragon Strong country in the sacred true dragon gathering? Zhao Feng suddenly thought. According to logic, the chances weren't high and the Iron Dragon Strong country had a higher chance, but thinking about it now, the 13 countries might already be overrun by the Iron Dragon Strong country. Zhao Feng didn't know that if First Elder had some connections, the experts from other clans would also have connections. Deputy Patriarch, are you planning to let me participate the sacred True Dragon Gathering? Zhao Feng couldn't contain the excitement in his heart. To fight with geniuses from the entire continent and have the chance to enter inheritances was something worth waiting for. Hee, Zhao Feng, you think too highly of yourself. Yes, your bloodline, potential and courage are all perfect, but with your current level, it'll be pretty good to reach the top 1,000. If you can't reach the top 100, you're not of much value to the Iron Blood religion. The blood-hair-colored man revealed a hint of playfulness. Zhao Feng was puzzled. He didn't even have the right to participate? You used to live in a faraway village and underestimate the peak geniuses too much. In the 10 great factions, a small number of core disciples have already reached the true spirit realm at your age, and it's not something rare. Some of the monsters have even reached the true mystic rank, and their masters are sovereigns at the origin core realm. Tiamo's words struck Zhao Feng. The talents of the peak geniuses had definitely surpassed the 13 countries and might be able to compare it against Zhao Yufei. The resources in the Canopy Great Country also exceeded the 13 countries, and the 10 great forces were even half a level higher than the Imperials and Iron Blood religions. These 10 great forces had even destroyed the Scarlet Moon religion. Furthermore, a small number of these geniuses were disciples of sovereigns. Talent, resources, master, competition. Their birth and environment both surpassed Zhao Feng. Under this situation, Zhao Feng's confidence finally started to control itself. Although you can challenge those at the true human rank when you're at the half-step true spirit realm and win, there's also occurrences of winning fights against higher cultivation opponents in the sacred True Dragon Gathering. For example, Sword Saint Xianxia from several hundred years ago came first by beating a true mystic rank late stage while only being at the early stages of the true human rank, reaching an era of fame. Tiamo's smile became bigger. In reality, Zhao Feng could enter the sacred True Dragon Gathering with his current strength, but he wouldn't obtain a good ranking. He was purposely training Zhao Feng to give him more pressure. Sacred True Dragon Gathering will be held in half a year's time, and the Iron Blood religion has many people to choose from. If you're able to reach the true spirit realm in the next half year, there shouldn't be much of a problem to participate in the Sacred True Dragon Gathering. Tiamo said, I understand. Under normal circumstances with Zhao Feng's current cultivation, the hopes of reaching the true spirit realm within half a year wasn't high. But Zhao Feng's mental energy level was high, and he had the Water Moon Pirate source of true spirit within him. Tiamo could feel Zhao Feng's current mental energy level, but he couldn't see the Water Moon Pirate source of true spirit as it was hidden by a secret technique from the Heaven's Legacy inheritance. From Tiamo's point of view, Zhao Feng only had a 30 to 40% chance of reaching the true spirit realm within half a year, but Zhao Feng was pretty confident. The Golden Spear Blood Dragon sedan flew through the air and arrived in Valley after several thousand miles. The Golden Spear Blood Dragon sedan had the power to fly itself. The 4 sedan carriers were only supporters that took care of small things for the Deputy Patriarch. This valley was protected by a large array whose scale was 10 times more than the Broken Moon clan. Within the valley was a large palace built between a valley and cave. This was the headquarters of the Iron Blood religion. Although it wasn't as big as the capital, its defense was extremely strong. Greetings, Deputy Patriarch. The members of the Iron Blood religion, from the Ascended Realm cultivators to the True Spirit Realm cultivators, all bowed down as the Golden Spear Blood Dragon sedan descended. Zhao Feng stepped out with the blood-hair-colored man and raised the eyes of countless people. Who's this brat that can even sit in the Golden Spear Blood Dragon sedan with the Deputy Patriarch? The members of the Iron Blood religion were all secretly surprised. About half the time it took to make tea later, the blood-hair-colored man and Zhao Feng walked into a grand hall. Tiamo assembled a meeting of which several elders and a protector attended. Zhao Feng knew one of them, a wrinkled-robed elder. It was the Iron Blood religion protector that had warned him when he had just entered the capital. This is the youth that had just held Empress Qin hostage in the capital. The blood-hair-colored Deputy Patriarch introduced. The upper echelons of the Iron Blood religion were all at least at the true mystic rank, and some were even at the peak of the true mystic rank. One of the elders was a white-haired female who was the regulations elder, and her cultivation had reached the true lord rank. Her status was only below the deputy patriarchs. After this introduction, Zhao Feng got to know some of the upper echelons. Of course, the Iron Blood religion was spaced out, so the people present wasn't all of the upper echelon, but even then, this was enough to make Zhao Feng cluck his tongue. Even if you add all the 13 countries and 2 strong countries together, they probably wouldn't be the Iron Blood religion's match. Zhao Feng thought in his heart, "Patriarch, you want to promote him to a chapter leader? This isn't a small problem. Most contestants for a chapter leader are at the true mystic rank or strong peak true human ranks. A youth as young as him with insufficient cultivation will probably find it hard to control an entire area." The white-haired female regulations elder questioned. According to what Zhao Feng knew, Tianma was the Iron Blood religion's deputy patriarch. In reality, he was not much different from the true patriarch, as no one knew whether the true patriarch was alive or dead. There was even rumors that he had fallen into deep sleep. All in all, the true patriarch's existence could be ignored. The other people all agreed. A chapter leader was very important in the Iron Blood religion. They could hold the fort in a single area and would be comparable to a marquis in the Imperials. "My decision is final." The blood-hair-colored deputy patriarch's expression didn't even change at all, and he made no signs of explaining. He gave off a feeling that he held all the power and decision. "My decision is final." The grand voice resounded throughout the hall. The white-haired regulations elder and company were somewhat surprised at the deputy patriarch's decision. Most of the time, the deputy patriarch would think it through with the elders and protectors. The upper echelons were all very respectful towards this blood-hair-colored deputy patriarch. However, sometimes the deputy patriarch would go through the decisions he made alone, and the result would prove he was correct, especially if it regarded people. The blood-hair-colored deputy patriarch had good eyes in spotting people, but this time everyone looked at each other. There has never been such a young chapter leader before in the Iron Blood religion. Zhao Feng is only 16 to 17 years old, and isn't even considered an adult in some places. The wrinkled protector thought. Because he was the one that gave Zhao Feng the warning before in the capital, he knew about this youth's history. Even he was questioning the deputy patriarch's arrangement, but since the deputy patriarch had made this decision, the group of people couldn't go against it. Like this, Zhao Feng became the youngest chapter leader in the history of the Iron Blood religion. The upper echelon sighed and were curious. "Deputy Patriarch, which chapter are you arranging Zhao Feng to lead?" The white regulations elder didn't disagree and instead changed the subject. "Which chapters don't have any leaders right now?" Tianma asked casually. "The Thousand Water chapter and Everlasting Sky chapter. Both don't have chapter leaders. Amongst the two, the Thousand Water chapter is closer and the 2 lieutenants are very powerful and the chapter leader isn't decided yet. The Everlasting Sky chapter is further away and the old chapter leader just reached the end of his life," the white-haired female said. "Arrange Zhao Feng to lead the Thousand Water chapter," Tianma said without hesitation. Hearing this, the expressions of the upper echelons changed. The Thousand Water chapter was closer to the main headquarters of the Iron Blood religion, and the deputy patriarch was doing this to help Zhao Feng. However, the 2 lieutenants of the Thousand Water chapter, Xianxia and Chen Mengzhen, aren't the type to hold back. They're very strong and have been eyeing the chapter leader's position. This is especially so for Xianxia, who is now uncontrollable. Thinking up to here, the white-haired female smiled. The Thousand Water chapter was slightly closer to the capital, meaning that it was more populated and more alluring than furthermore away places. However, this also meant that competition within the Thousand Water chapter was big and the factions involved was complex. Tianma didn't seem to think this much and had immediately promoted Zhao Feng to be the Thousand Water chapter leader. "You stay in the headquarters for half a month. I'll give you a helper to go with you then," Tianma told Zhao Feng. Zhao Feng nodded his head, then took his chapter leader token and items as he was going to stay in the headquarters for the while. It'll be hard for this brat to control the Thousand Water chapter with his current strength and experience. With Xianxia and Chen Meng and their attitudes, they definitely wouldn't obey such a young and weak chapter leader. The upper echelons within the hall sent Zhao Feng away with their eyes and a playful smile. They had foreseen the sight that Zhao Feng definitely wouldn't be able to last long in being the Thousand Water chapter leader. Next, we'll discuss about the Scared True Dragon Gathering's progress. Tiamat changed the subject. Within the Iron Blood religion, in a peaceful hall with pearls in the ceiling and walls. Being a chapter leader, Zhao Feng was technically an upper echelon of the Iron Blood religion, so his treatment was far better than the norm. He sat cross-legged and merged his consciousness into the second floor of his lightning inheritance. Back at the flooding lake, City Zhao Feng had tried to enter the second floor of the lightning inheritance. The requirement to enter the second floor was the cultivation at the true human rank, but because Zhao Feng's mental energy level was high and his God spiritual eye gave him capabilities to learn quickly, he could comprehend it back then, but it was just much harder. And now, after Zhao Feng's God spiritual eye had gone into deep sleep and his cultivation had reached the half-step true spirit realm, it was much easier for him to comprehend. Within his mind, the lightning inheritance display was more precise and magnified. From a grand to tiny view, he could see the origin of all things. This was Zhao Feng's forte. The dimension of his left eye allowed him to copy the usage of skills. Flowers of lightning bloomed and disappeared in the dimension of his left eye. Zhao Feng met some tricky questions while comprehending. One of them was that the power of lightning was very weak in the Heaven-Earth Yuan Qi unless the weather was stormy. Some attacks from the true spirit realm would become stronger instead of weaker after leaving their body. This was because of the merging of the Heaven-Earth Yuan Qi. Under normal situations, only those at the True Lord rank could merge their Qi of True Spirit with the Heaven-Earth Yuan Qi. Those at the True Human rank could only absorb to a limit, but it wasn't enough to truly merge them together. Looks like my bottleneck is because of my restricted cultivation. Zhao Feng understood the problem. Only when all of his Qi of half-step True Spirit had been converted to Qi of True Spirit would the lightning element within his body interact with the Heaven-Earth Yuan Qi outside. Said simply, there was only one problem, and that was to break through to the True Spirit realm. As long as he reached the True Spirit realm, Zhao Feng be able to gain insights from the second floor of the lightning inheritance. Thinking up to here, Zhao Feng focused solely on cultivation and organized the items that he had gotten from the Water Moon Treasury and Rising Dragon auction. Wang. Zhao Feng's Qi of half-step True Spirit started to circulate and crackles of lightning surrounded his body. Those that came close would freeze from being struck by lightning. After my Qi of half-step True Spirit reached 60%, it's converting even slower. Zhao Feng's eyebrows furrowed. Anything that came closer to the limit would become more difficult. Of course, under normal situations, those that had converted 60% of their Qi of half-step True Spirit could try to break through to the True Spirit realm, but the chances of success wasn't high. Zhao Feng released his senses and his Qi of half-step True Spirit would escape through his head to sense the countless Heaven-Earth Yuan Qi in the air. The Heaven-Earth Yuan Qi included every element. There was lightning, wind, fire. Zhao Feng's mental energy level was comparable to the true human rank, and with his powerful source of mental energy from his God spiritual eye, he had a greater advantage than most people as he could sense the Heaven-Earth Yuan Qi. He soon felt a sizzle of the power of lightning. The first step. Zhao Feng's Qi of half-step True Spirit interacted with the lightning in the Heaven-Earth Yuan Qi and cleansed his true force. Those at the Ascended Realm could do this, but only barely. The second step. Reach a close affinity with the power of lightning within the Heaven-Earth Yuan Qi. This step could only be done by those at the half-step True Spirit realm. Some skills and techniques pursued a state of mental energy, and by reaching a close affinity with the Heaven-Earth Yuan Qi, they could release powerful strength. The higher the level of the skill, the closer affinity one could reach. The higher the affinity, the more one is able to absorb the Qi of True Spirit. Zhao Feng nodded his head. Through his senses, he understood more about the True Spirit realm. At the same time, things that he didn't understood in the Origin Core ruins became clear. As time passed, Zhao Feng's affinity with the lightning in the air became higher. 3 days later, some of lightning in the air was absorbed into his body. Because his mental energy level was high enough and he had his God Spirit eye, Zhao Feng could pull more and more lighting Yuan Qi. On the 5th day, the sound of thunder sounded from above Zhao Feng's hall. Those with high cultivation would find that the lightning yuan qi here was denser than other places. Heaven-earth yuan qi was the building blocks of the universe. Humans were an atom, and when they absorbed enough heaven-earth yuan qi of a high quality and quantity, they would be able to control more power. When one's cultivation was high enough, even an atom could become a sovereign that ruled the living. Under the bit of lightning gathering, Zhao Feng's insights became deeper, and this also increased his mental energy. The 10th day, Zhao Feng could absorb the lightning yuan qi as he wished to cleanse his soul and true force. At this point in time, the true spirit realm had no closed doors anymore. All he needed was time. My qi of half-step true spirit has reached 80 to 90%. The most important thing is that the quantity of true force within my body had doubled. Zhao Feng smiled as he opened his eyes. Right now, he was only one step away from the last step, to form his source of true spirit within his dantian. As long as he succeeded, he would become an expert at the true spirit realm. Apart from that, he was not much different from those at the true spirit realm. After reaching this step, Zhao Feng felt as if he was a fish in the water when cultivating the second floor of the lightning inheritance. Because of his close affinity with the lightning yuan qi, he could even capture the lightning yuan qi in the air. Zhu! Zhao Feng raised his hand and a chain of lightning whipped out and formed a lightning snake half a yard long. In a few breaths' time, it didn't dissipate but instead became stronger. Without the support of true force, the lightning snake was still able to wrap around him 3 times. This was because when the qi of half-step true spirit was sent out, Zhao Feng could also capture and interact with the lightning yuan qi outside. Like this, Zhao Feng finally entered the doorway of the second floor of the lightning inheritance. After that, he began to gain insights into the movement skills, offense, defense, and some powerful secret techniques. Blade of lightning. Zhao Feng raised his hand and with the crackle of thunder, a sharp blade made of lightning appeared. It glittered and shined realistically. Before this, Zhao Feng could already make a blade of lightning, but it was only 3 feet long and extremely crude. Not only that, it also wasted a lot of true force. Now that blade of lightning was a blade that contained a devastating sharpness. Show! The blade of lightning flashed and a high-grade mortal tier weapon next to Zhao Feng was sliced into 2 with black fumes pouring out of it. What terrifying offense! It can definitely slice open the defensive qi of true force from normal true human rank experts. Zhao Feng was overjoyed. Several days later, a male and a female sat together on a 3-colored lotus. The male wore a blue and white heaven luo mystic cloak and his hair was blue. His left eye was ice blue and he had a cold expression as he sat cross-legged. Next to him was a pink-dressed female who seemed around the age of 20. This pink-dressed woman was named Dai Yi and was the helper that Tianma had sent to Zhao Feng. Her cultivation had reached the true human rank. According to Tianma, Dai Yi was the mysterious true patriarch's maid servant and her cultivation, age and experience couldn't be taken by her appearance. It could be seen how much importance Tianma had placed on Zhao Feng by giving him such a unique helper. Chapter Leader, the Thousand Water chapter is near the Thousand Water River. The landscape there is complex and there are at least 100 forces there. Some bigger forces include the Yunside family, By-side family, 100 Flower chapter and more. Dai Ye's voice was soft and extremely cute. In the Canopy Great Country, the forces of the Imperials, 3 sects, and 4 families had spread across the entire country. Even in the capital, there was the forces of the Iron Blood religion. The Thousand Water River was the same. Apart from the Iron Blood religion's chapter, there was also some other forces such as the Yunside family, By-side family, 100 Flower chapter, and company. The ones Dai Yi had mentioned were those that were big. The smaller families and clans weren't included. In the past dozens of years in the Thousand Water River, the Iron Blood religion's chapter was the strongest force there, just as the Flooding Lake Lu family was in the Flooding Lake area. If the Flooding Lake City Lord hadn't ascended to the True Lord rank, Zhao Feng's current position would be of the same status as him. Of course, the Flooding Lake Lu family was already a bigger side family within the Lu family and they held their own area. 100 Flower chapter? Zhao Feng became slightly interested in one of the forces. The 100 Flower chapter was the wicked clan that the Water Moon Pirate once belonged to. After the Water Moon Pirate died, the 100-Flower chapter also fell, but even then, it was still able to be compared to the Yunside family and Byside family. The 100-Flower chapter can be ranked within the top 5 forces in the Thousand Water River area, and it is a wicked clan that harms different families and beautiful women. They have an extremely bad reputation. Dai Yi inspected the youngest chapter leader in the history of the Iron Blood religion with sparkling eyes. Zhao Feng had broken the record. With just 16 to 17 years of age, he wasn't even considered to be an adult, and his cultivation hadn't reached the true spirit realm. This youth didn't speak much, and he would cultivate most of the time. Sometimes, it was even Dai Yi who inserted her chi of true spirit into the 3-flowered treasured lotus to fly it. Soon, Zhao Feng understood the general situation around the Thousand Water River. What do I need to worry about when we reach the Thousand Water chapter? Zhao Feng humbly asked for advice. On the surface, the Thousand Water chapter has 6 true spirit realm cultivators. Amongst them, the 2 lieutenants Xianxia and Qin Mingzhen both are at the peak true human rank, and when the 2 teamed up, they had even beaten a true mystic rank expert. Of course, these 2 are both eyeing the position of chapter leader, and I'm worried that they won't be very obedient. Dai Yi didn't hide the factors that were unbeneficial for Zhao Feng. Zhao Feng couldn't help but rub his forehead. It seemed like the pressure on him wasn't small. The greatest importance right now was to reach the true spirit realm. This way, there would be less pressure and rumors. The 3-flowered treasured lotus flying speed was extremely fast and close to a normal true mystic rank cultivators. At the same time, it was also extremely stable. The weakness was that the 3-flowered treasured lotus could only fit 2 to 3 people maximum. But without a doubt, the 3-flowered treasured lotus offense, speed, and support abilities made it Zhao Feng's most precious item. After that, Zhao Feng also inspected the map of the Thousand Water River. Finally, at the very outer edges of the place, Zhao Feng saw the name Transverse Water Stronghold. So the Transverse Water Stronghold and 100-Flower chapter are both around the Thousand Water River. Zhao Feng's heart moved. Half a month later, Zhao Feng and Dai Yi arrived at the Thousand Water chapter. The new chapter leader instantly caused chaos in the Iron Blood Religions chapter. This new chapter leader is a brat that hasn't even grown any hair. You want us adults to listen to a kid's orders? I don't understand what the Iron Blood Religion main headquarters is thinking. The upper echelons of the Thousand Water chapter were all angered. The 2 lieutenants at the front, Xianxia and Qin Mingzhen, both had ugly expressions. Xianxia was a blood-robed youth with a cold expression, and he had a fierce bloody aura that made normal true human rank cultivators tremble. Qin Mingzhen was a stunning woman that seemed to be extremely noble. Her pair of eyes kept twinkling. The 2 exchanged glances. This new chapter leader was promoted by the deputy patriarch himself. Secondly, this kid's apparently received the Water Moon Pirate's inheritance, and had kidnapped Empress Qin in the capital. Qin Mingzhen said. So what? Getting the Water Moon treasury is only luck. Kidnapping Empress Qin was also only a coincidence, something done with no path of retreat. If Deputy Patriarch didn't arrive, do you think he could escape unharmed? Xianxia snickered coldly. It was obvious that everyone knew about this chapter leader's history and background. For those down below, they needed to see the new chapter leader's attitude and personality in case they angered him. For the 2 lieutenants, they needed to find a vital point and then have a chance to be promoted. Qin Mingzhen laughed and said, no matter what, he was promoted by the deputy patriarch himself and is famed throughout the country. We can't do anything on the surface, or else if that spreads. Xianxia harumphed but didn't say anything. With the backing of the deputy patriarch, they obviously couldn't do anything on the surface to this new chapter leader, but they could use several methods in the dark. Soon, the new chapter leader descended from the skies for his 3-flowered treasured lotus. The eyes of everyone from the Iron Blood religion stared at the cold blue-haired youth that wore the Heaven Luo mystic cloak. That faint ice blue left eye seemed to be able to pierce through anything in the world and gave off a chilling coldness. The middle and lower echelon of the chapter instinctively avoided his gaze. This new chapter leader's gaze was just too terrifying. His coldness seemed able to freeze souls. Only the 2 lieutenants didn't avoid him. An eye bloodline. but unfortunately his cultivation's too low and doesn't have enough experience. Yun Xiao snickered coldly. The weird thing was that next to the new chapter leader, there was also a pink-dressed maidservant whose cultivation had reached the true human rank. Dai Yi? The most trusted maidservant of both the patriarch and deputy patriarch. Chen Mengjin recognized the pink-dressed maidservant and took a deep breath while taking back her underestimation. One could see how much the deputy patriarch admired and placed importance on Zhao Feng by sending her to Zhao Feng. Greetings, chapter leader. When Zhao Feng took out his chapter leader token, the people below all bowed down. Even those as strong as Yun Xia and Chen Mengjin had to bow down to Zhao Feng in respect. At this moment, Zhao Feng felt as if he was a lord of the sky descending, but he knew that this was the power that the deputy patriarch gave him. Through his god's spiritual eye, it wasn't hard for Zhao Feng to see that these people didn't really obey him. On the first day, Zhao Feng got to know the upper echelons of the Iron Blood religion chapter. The elders would report some of the important issues to the chapter leader. Chapter leader, the Yunside family had been increasing in strength rapidly and another true human rank has been born. Although the head of the family is getting old and can't utilize all of his true mystic rank power, they are still the strongest force threatening the Thousand Water chapter. Not long ago, the Yunside family even caused trouble in a primal crystal mine under our Thousand Water chapter's control and killed someone. There's definitely some underlying intentions here. This one recommends to personally go to the Yun family and settle the problems. Reporting to the chapter leader, the 100 Flower chapter has been unusually low-lay in the past few months. Some of the upper echelons are suspicious that they've gotten some of the Water Moon treasury. The elders all reported their issues. Zhao Feng scrunched his eyebrows. From his point of view, it seemed that these small problems had been magnified and were all for others' benefits. At least right now, no single force dared to personally challenge the Thousand Water chapter's power. From today onwards, I will be in seclusion and everything will be handled by Dai Yi. Zhao Feng rose and entered his place. It seemed that he wasn't very interested in these problems, and this made Yun Xia and Chen Mengjin secretly overjoyed. The new chapter leader wasn't very interested in power. This meant that the two of them still held a large amount of authority. The troublesome one was actually Dai Yi. This maidservant could find holes in the problems and question them. The new chapter leader is only a brat and isn't scary. The key problem is this maidservant. Yun Xia and Chen Mengjin turned their attention towards Dai Yi. Dai Yi wasn't just Zhao Feng's assistant, she was also the deputy patriarch's key advisor. Zhao Feng had an easy job and would spend most of his time cultivating. The qi of half-step true spirit was very pure and its affinity was rising with the heaven-earth-lightning yuan qi. After sitting down for a while, there was already lightning yuan qi gathering above him. Reaching the true spirit realm wasn't very hard for Zhao Feng. All he needed right now was some time to condense his own source of true spirit. The source of true spirit was the origin of the qi of true spirit and gathered the life and blood essence of the cultivator. 4 to 5 days passed by. Zhao Feng's qi of half-step true spirit had reached a pure level and had almost become fully pure. The liquidity true force form was even purer than the original qi of true spirit. The lightning yuan qi above Zhao Feng became denser and traveled throughout his body, washing his bones and changing his qi of half-step true spirit. One last step. Zhao Feng took a deep breath and the raindrops of true force gathered then shrunk as if forming a mini pond. Iron Blood Religion, Thousand Water Chapter. From the new chapter leader's hall the crackle of thunder sounded and the area around it became infested with heaven-earth lightning yuan qi. At the end there were even faint arcs of purple lightning that created a stunning scenery. Every cultivators at the ascended realm or higher within a 10 miles radius could feel the change here. He is indeed worthy of being placed great importance upon by the deputy patriarch. Not even 17 yet, but is able to reach the true spirit realm at such a young age. This is rare even across the canopy great country. Dai Ye's eyes spun as she guarded Zhao Feng. With her experience, she knew that Zhao Feng was progressing smoothly and that there was no bottleneck. The disruption from the new chapter leader instantly gathered the attention of the upper echelon of the Thousand Water chapter. Yun Xia and Chen Mengjin's expressions were both slightly solemn. This Zhao Feng is indeed a genius. To think that back then we struggled to reach the sixth sky of the Ascended Realm. Furthermore, he has a unique blood power. Chen Mengzhen's eyebrows furrowed as she felt that this situation had become slightly troublesome. If Zhao Feng hadn't reached the true spirit realm, then he would have just been an ant that had a big background in their eyes. Although they couldn't do anything on the surface, they could do things in the dark that would make this brat retreat from this chapter. However, once Zhao Feng reached the true spirit realm, the situation became different. Once true spirit, never mortal. This sentence was commonly used even in the Canopy Great Country. Once someone reaches the true spirit realm, that person's life form drastically increases in strength and their lifespan also rises rapidly. If he reaches the true spirit realm, it'll be indeed troublesome. Someone with a bloodline power is stronger than those without one, provided they are at the same rank. Furthermore, he has the three-flowered treasured lotus. Xianxia's expression kept on changing. Although they were at the peak of the true human rank and didn't put normal true human rank in their eyes, Zhao Feng had too many things to rely on. He had the deputy patriarch behind him, terrifying talent, a unique eye bloodline, and precious items. All of these things pushed his fame to a higher level. No, I must stop him from reaching the true spirit realm. Everyone knows that luck, form, spiritual pills, and state of heart is what is required to reach the true spirit realm. If I stop him now, his chances of success later will be much lower. A cold glint flashed in Xianxia's eyes. Are you crazy? If the deputy patriarch knew of this and you didn't die, you would at least lose a layer of skin. Chen Mengzhen jumped up in fright. Humph. We obviously can't use people from our own chapter. We need to get the help of outsiders. Xianxia's face dimmed. Help of outsiders? Could it be you? Chen Mengzhen revealed a look of understanding. In the past, the Thousand Water chapter was never in much danger. The only problem they had was with the Yun family. The Yunside family had entered a primal crystal mine that was owned by the Thousand Water chapter and killed a member of the Iron Blood religion. That kid needs approximately 10 more days to condense his source of true spirit. During this time period, we can make things bigger. Once the two forces fight, the chapter leader will have to attend. Xianxia licked his lips with a gruesome expression. Chen Mengzhen thought about it for a while before nodding her head. She had to admit that this was the perfect plan. They obviously couldn't make the moves themselves, so they had to rely on outside help. The outside help would be the Yunside family, the Thousand Water chapter's greatest enemy. For the next 2 days, the Iron Blood religion chapter and the Yunside family's feud became bigger. Both sides didn't take a single step back. The Iron Blood religion had a hard manner, and because the Yunside family was the one who had killed their member, the Iron Blood religion obviously wouldn't give up. Everything that they did seemed to go with the Iron Blood religion's typical manner. Within 3 days, the Iron Blood religion and Yunside family's battle reached a new level. At the beginning, it was only a battle between those at the Ascended Realm or half-step True Spirit Realm. Later on, those at the True Human rank participated. The conflict began to gradually evolve as the two sides began fighting small-scale wars. On the 5th day, Xianxia and Chen Mengzhen entered the battle themselves, slaying a True Human rank expert from the Yun family and severely injuring 2 True Human rank experts. After that, the head of the Yunside family, the True Mystic rank expert, also killed a True Human rank from the Iron Blood religion. The situation began to expand. What's going on? Why is the Yun family working together so well? Xianxia and Chen Mengzhen were both surprised. In the past, the head of the Yun family was getting old and had no intentions of fighting, usually just avoiding clashes with the Iron Blood religion. However, this time it was extremely weird. The Yunside family was the side that killed the Iron Blood religion member, and the Iron Blood religion was fighting for revenge. Yet the Yunside family attacked back without Xianxia and Chen Mengzhen doing anything. Everything was going too smoothly. There's definitely something going on. Why would the Yunside family dare to clash with us head-on? Although they have a True Mystic rank expert, do they really expect to win more than they lose? Furthermore, we have a lot more people including scouts and spies. Chen Mengzhen felt uneasy. Reporting to the lieutenant, the 100 Flower chapter has tricked our spies and raped several of our female members before throwing their corpses at the gate. a half-step true spirit realm reported. 100 Flower Chapter. The expressions on both Xianxia and Chun Mengzhen's faces both changed and their hearts leapt to their throats. Around this time, the 100 Flower Chapter had been acting weirdly, and the fan-flying bandit had received many treasures in the Water Moon Treasury, specifically the Water Moon God Peach fan, which had increased his strength dramatically. The 100 Flower Chapter's forte was calculation and using cruel methods while acting in unison with the Yunside family. This would critically endanger the Iron Blood Religion chapter. Not going well. Xianxia and Chun Mengzhen both took a deep breath. On the same day, the Iron Blood Religion chapter faced the counterattack of the Yun family and the 100 Flower Chapter. On the surface, the Iron Blood Religion had many members and spies that could beat any one faction, but no one had thought that the Yun family and the infamous 100 Flower Chapter would act in unison. On the 7th day, the Iron Blood Religion chapter's losses became even greater. If this continued, the 1000 Water chapter would face destruction. If Zhao Feng comes and apologizes to me, the Yunside family can think about giving up on attacking the Iron Blood Religion chapter. An old and wrinkled elder while dressed in white floated in the air, as if he was a feather with no weight. He gave off a grand aura that made those at the true human rank tremble with unease. This person was the head of the Yunside family, the true mystic rank expert. Make the chapter leader apologize? Our chapter leader hasn't even walked half a step out of the 1000 Water chapter. When did he offend your Yunside family? Xianxia and company felt something was off. How could Zhao Feng have caused such big trouble already? That new chapter leader destroyed my grandson Yun Haiyang's arm in flooding Lake City. Haiyang was our 1000 Water Yun family's top genius and was recommended to the main Yun family. He was full of potential, but was crippled by that bastard who also injected a poison into his body that almost made his cultivation drop. Right now he is still recovering. The head of the Yunside family's voice was cold and full of rage. Hearing this, the members of the Iron Blood Religion chapter all looked at each other. They had heard of Yun Haiyang, the #1 genius in the 1000 Water Yunside family. At the same time, he was also the grandson of the old head of the family. However, this Yun Haiyang unexpectedly had a feud with the new chapter leader. Back at flooding Lake City, Yun Haiyang was jealous and had challenged Zhao Feng in archery. That battle was extremely dangerous. Zhao Feng used all of his strength to seal his opponent's arm in ice. Luckily, flooding Lake City's lord had helped in time, otherwise Yun Haiyang would have become an ice statue. After that incident, Yun Haiyang's injury was actually more severe than initially thought. The coldness of the Luoho Bao had latched onto his own power and seeped into his bones. Over the past half-year, Yun Haiyang has been bedridden. Although the Yun family had invited many doctors over, his potential had dropped, making it very hard for him to reach the true spirit realm in the future. Coincidentally, the new chapter leader would be a major figure in the 1000 Water, and the forces there happened to look into his background. However, under their investigation, they had found that this brat was the person who had injured Yun Haiyang. Zhao Feng. If you want to blame someone, blame yourself for making so many enemies. You ran from flooding Lake City, injured my grandson, and then stole from the Water Moon Treasury. If the fan-flying bandit hadn't suggested teaming up and splitting the rewards, I wouldn't have made my move so soon. The head of the Yunside family snickered coldly in his heart. The fan-flying bandit of the 100 Flower chapter had refined the Water Moon God Peach fan, and his cultivation was now half a step within the true mystic rank. In terms of battle power, it wasn't lower than his, but his methods were much crueler. Xia's side felt extremely pressured. Because the Yun family and 100 Flower chapter were attacking together, he had to face the Yun family while Chun Mengzhen faced the 100 Flower chapter. Lieutenant Yun. Lieutenant Chun has been defeated and captured by the fan-flying bandit. A figure quickly sped closer. What? Chun Mengzhen had been captured? Xianxia took a cold breath as cold sweat poured down his back. He knew Chun Mengzhen's strength very clearly. She was someone who had fought against him for years. However, an expert such as her had been defeated by the fan-flying bandit and then captured. You have 3 days to hand over Zhao Feng. The Yunside family snickered. 1000 Water Chapter. Chapter Leader's Hall. Chapter Leader, The Yun family and the 100-Flower chapter have teamed up to attack the 1,000-Water chapter. The two lieutenants need your help. Someone reported from outside. Dai Yi stood at the entrance and said nothing. She was only here to protect Zhao Feng. Fuck off, Zhao Feng said. In his heart, he knew that Xianxia and company were definitely trying to stop him from reaching the true spirit realm. At this point in time, his source of true spirit within his body had formed into the size of a thumb. When right in that instant, something unexpected happened. Inside his dantian, the water moon pirate's source of true spirit interacted with Zhao Feng's source of true spirit and formed a mysterious bridge. That source of true spirit was more than 10 times larger than Zhao Feng's source of true spirit and created a transparent book. On the book were several words. Mystic Flower Treasured Bible. The Mystic Flower Treasured Bible, which had been destroyed by Zhao Feng, was actually preserved in the Water Moon Pirate's source of true spirit. Water Moon Pirate, you still can't stand for your secret skill to be lost, can you? Why else would you leave this trick behind? Zhao Feng's God spiritual eye observed the book made from the chi of true spirit, and he couldn't help but sigh. At this moment in time, he had finally felt how terrifying the Water Moon Pirate's calculation skills were. In that era, the Water Moon Pirate didn't have the strength to rule. But he didn't rely just on strength and treasures, he was also extremely intelligent. Shua. Zhao Feng circulated his God spiritual eye to scan the book created by the chi of true spirit, and its contents were immediately copied by Zhao Feng. His God spiritual eye had underwent many changes, and its power became more and more terrifying. Even the Mystic Flower Treasured Bible, a skill comparable to the high-level spiritual grade, had been copied. Soon, the Mystic Flowered Treasured Bible appeared in his mind, and Zhao Feng quickly glanced at its contents. In terms of skills, the Mystic Flower Treasured Bible was only close to the high-level spiritual grade. But it was a book that contained the skills of the 100-Flower chapter and those from the Wicked Path. Simply said, this was a wicked book that contained the essences of evil techniques. Therefore, its true value could be comparable to Zhao Feng's lightning inheritance. The only difference was that the Mystic Flower Treasured Bible made it very hard for cultivators to reach the origin core realm, whereas the lightning inheritance had a certain amount of success. The Mystic Flower Treasured Bible contains weird techniques that can't be anticipated. The movement and speed skills can help some of the weaker parts of the lightning inheritance. Zhao Feng was stunned as he first read the Mystic Flower Treasured Bible. The lightning inheritance aimed for comprehension and insights, whereas the Mystic Flower Treasured Bible could be used in any situation, each with different tactics. I'll choose the best and forget the rest. Zhao Feng made his decision. With the Mystic Flower Treasured Bible at hand, he didn't need any other skills. For the next 1 to 2 days, Zhao Feng stayed in seclusion. The lightning yuan qi above the chapter leader's hall became several times denser, and it even formed a lightning cloud. Just the aura from trying to break through to the true spirit realm is several times stronger than others. Dai Ye's heart was moved. The cloud of lightning gathered above the hall had already exceeded the early stages of a true human rank expert. According to the usual norm, those that had just entered the true human rank were considered to be at the beginner stage, and only after consolidation would they reach the early stages. There was 3 main reasons why Zhao Feng's aura was so strong. Firstly, the lightning inheritance was extremely powerful, and lightning was one of the strongest elements in the world. Could counter most other elements. Secondly, Zhao Feng's mental energy had reached a high level, and his God's spiritual eye's source of mental energy was extremely large. Hence he could gather more heaven-earth yuan qi. Thirdly, part of the Water Moon Pirate's pure source of true spirit had merged with Zhao Feng's source of true spirit. Apart from these reasons, Zhao Feng also had the 3-flowered treasured lotus, which helped him cultivate. Therefore, although Zhao Feng's source of true spirit had just been gathered, it was already quite powerful. Boom! The cloud of lightning in the air suddenly shook, and it rushed into Zhao Feng's body like a flood and cleansed it. At a certain moment in time, the lightning in the air dissipated. Immediately following that, a new aura of the true spirit realm containing a chaotic, destructive feel spread across several miles. At that point in time, everyone in the Iron Blood religion chapter felt an aura that made them tremble. He succeeded. Dai Yi acted as if she had just completed a huge task, and a flash of surprise appeared in her eyes. Zhao Feng's aura was far too powerful. He had just reached the true spirit realm, but he was already giving off such a formidable aura. Only some of the supreme experts would give off such a feel when their cultivation increased. For example, when the sword Saint Yi Wuxia ascended to the true spirit realm, a beam of sword light forced the true spirit realm experts pursuing him to retreat. According to ancient records, when the Scarlet Moon Patriarch ascended to the true spirit realm, a blood-colored cloud enveloped everything within a 10-mile radius, symbolizing disaster. When Zhao Feng reached the true spirit realm, everything within a 10 miles radius could hear the hum of thunder and felt numb. Reporting to the chapter leader, Lieutenant Chun has been captured by the fan-flying bandit. The head of the Yun family and fan-flying bandit have said that if the chapter leader doesn't appear within 3 days, they'll destroy the Iron Blood Religion chapter. A kneeling figure outside the hall trembled. At the instance when Zhao Feng broke through to the true spirit realm, even normal true human rank cultivators would feel their heart shake when facing Zhao Feng. Fuck off! A thunderous voice sounded through the air, like the sound of the god of lightning. Yes, yes. The half-step true spirit realm cultivator was so frightened that his soul almost dissipated. Just a shout from this new chapter leader alone had almost made his mind crumble. Normal true human ranks didn't have this power. He should be consolidating his source of true spirit. Now's not the best time for him to make his move, Dai Yi thought in her heart. Within the hall, Zhao Feng sat cross-legged with his blue hair blowing. Arcs of lightning wrapped around his body. They were even thinner than spider webs. At the same instance, a lightning mark flashed on his forehead. It was the same floating crest lightning mark that he had received in the Floating Crest Palace. Dai Yi was only 50% correct. Not only did Zhao Feng need to consolidate his source of true spirit, he also needed to improve. His lightning inheritance had been restricted by his cultivation, but now he had broken through to the true spirit realm and had reached a new level in sensing the heaven-earth yuan qi. It was even better than most normal true human ranks. Boom, boom, boom. Lightning appeared once more in the air, this time even more powerful than the last. What's going on? Didn't he just break through to the true spirit realm? Why is his aura rising again? Dai Yi had an incredulous expression. In reality, because part of the Water Moon Pirate's source of true spirit had merged with Zhao Feng's source of true spirit, its size was close to an early-stage true human rank. One had to know that the Water Moon Pirate's cultivation had reached the peak true mystic rank, and it was half a step into the true lord rank. The source of true spirit he had left behind was obviously strong. Using the power and senses from breaking through just then, Zhao Feng charged straight into the second floor of the lightning inheritance and gathered even more lightning yuan qi. At the same time, the Water Moon Pirate's source of true spirit became a force that helped him absorb the lightning yuan qi and consolidate his source of true spirit. Time passed by. The movement from the lightning yuan qi above the chapter leader's hall was almost comparable to a true mystic rank. Clouds of lightning 100 yards wide appeared above Zhao Feng. At this instance, not even normal true human rank cultivators dared to come close to Zhao Feng. If that terrifying cloud of lightning came down, not only would Zhao Feng die, even the nearby true spirit realm cultivators wouldn't be able to retreat unharmed. Wang, the three-flowered treasured lotus below Zhao Feng, gave off a weird light that helped him absorb more heaven-earth yuan qi. A holy item such as the three-flowered treasured lotus also increased Zhao Feng's aura. Zhezhe, this is the last day. If Zhao Feng doesn't come out, then this erotic lieutenant will become our play tui. The fan-flying bandit smiled gruesomely. The Yunside family and 100 Flower chapter had surrounded the 1,000 Water chapter. Lieutenant Chun Mengjin's face was full of anger. The reason she had lost wasn't because of strength, but because the fan-flying bandit had used a poison taken from the Water Moon treasury that the Water Moon bandit had used when he was alive. Lieutenant Xianxia led the upper echelon of the chapter and only defended. The Yunside family and 100 Flower chapter didn't dare act too harshly, as the Iron Blood religion's power was even suppressing the Imperials right now. The fan-flying bandit wanted to take out his anger and take back the items that belonged to him. The Yunside family leader wanted to take Vegenace for his grandson, and behind him was the main Yun family. That Zhao Feng has already reached the true spirit realm, but he still isn't coming out. Xianxia gritted his teeth, extremely angered. At such a critical moment, Zhao Feng, the true chapter leader, was hiding like a turtle. At this instance, did Xianxia have the time to calculate against Zhao Feng? The Thousand Water chapter had fallen into the most dangerous situation within 10 years. By using all their forces, both in the light and dark, they had only barely managed to block the two factions. Time passed slowly by. Xianxia felt as if a day was a year long, and Chun Mengjin was feeling dread for what was coming. Bitterness appeared in their minds. They had wanted to trick Zhao Feng but had burnt themselves instead. Not only did they not calculate against Zhao Feng, they had been dragged into a problem caused by the latter. Xianxia was even suspicious that Zhao Feng was a calamity. He had escaped the marriage at the flooding lake city, went to the transverse water stronghold and took the water moon treasury, then went to the capital and kidnapped Empress Qin. Now, he had arrived at the Thousand Water chapter and disaster had already befallen upon them before they had the chance to calculate against Zhao Feng. The Yun Side family and Hundred Flower chapter were both Zhao Feng's enemy. However, the pressure that was supposed to be beared by Zhao Feng was being beared by the two lieutenants. It's almost noon. If Zhao Feng doesn't come out, we'll defile this beautiful lieutenant, then destroy the Thousand Water chapter. The fan-flying bandit threatened. The head of the Yun Side family also snickered coldly and raised his hand, as if making preparations to attack the Thousand Water chapter. The main Yun family was also one of the 8 major factions. The main clans, families, or headquarters wouldn't support the side or chapter forces too much, or else the balance would be lost. Therefore, the head of the Yun Side family was only wary of the Iron Blood religion but wasn't scared of them. Boom! A loud thunder exploded above the Thousand Water chapter, and everyone within a 100-mile radius could see an arc of lightning. A lot of people felt an uneasiness appear. At the same time, the cloud of lightning above the chapter leader's hall disappeared. An azure lightning symbol appeared on Zhao Feng's forehead. Xiao. His figure vanished from the spot and a streak of lightning flashed through the sky. The chapter leader is coming. Dai Yi smiled faintly and sent a transmission everywhere. The chapter leader is coming. The entire Thousand Water chapter watched that arc of lightning pierce through the sky. Iron Blood Religion chapter. The Yun Side family and fan-flying bandits forces stood around the area, blocking off the exits. The righteous and wicked force had teamed up and forced the Thousand Water chapter into a desperate situation. If there wasn't any outside help, the Thousand Water chapter might disappear today. Xianxia was full of hatred as all of this was brought by the new chapter leader. Lieutenant Chun Mengjin had humiliation and sadness written all over her face. There were a few people from the Hundred Flower chapter nearby that looked at her with wicked expressions and smiles. As long as the fan-flying bandit gave the order, her destiny would become unimaginable. The sad thing was that the new chapter leader only cared about his cultivation and hid like a turtle. The two of them had originally wanted to use the enemies to fight Zhao Feng. But unexpectedly, Zhao Feng was a calamity that had caused this much trouble, and he had only arrived at the Thousand Water chapter a few days ago. This Zhao Feng has already reached the true spirit realm, so why isn't he coming? If he and Dai Yi came, then we'd have the help of 2 more true spirit realm cultivators, and at least then there would be hope. The more Xianxia thought about it, the more unbelievable and angry he got. He had sent people several times to ask for the chapter leader and Dai Yi, but the response was the same. Fuck off. Right at this time, a loud clap of thunder resounded across the sky. The chapter leader is coming. After the clap of thunder, an arc of lightning flashed through the sky, creating a beautiful sight. All of the experts across the Thousand Water chapter were attracted by that new chi of true spirit. Everyone could see that arc of light within a 10 miles radius. The true spirit realm cultivators from all 3 forces all spread their spiritual senses. Zhao Feng, you've finally come. Xianxia still felt angry, but the fan-flying bandit and head of the Yun Side family's reactions were far more fierce than his. Zhao Feng. The fan-flying bandit's voice trembled as he gritted his teeth with a deadly look in his eyes. It was a look that only one of them could survive. You're that Zhao Feng that destroyed my grandson's future and the hope of the Thousand Water Yun family. The head of the Yun-side family's face was filled with rage and killing intent. The two experts' reaction frightened Yun-sha, especially the fan-flying bandit. It was as if he wanted to eat Zhao Feng's blood and bones. Xiao. The figure that flashed in the air was incredibly fast, and it descended with a destructive aura. The expressions of all the true spirit realm cultivators present changed. This aura wasn't of someone who had just broken through to the true spirit realm could have. Greetings, chapter leader. All the members from the chapter bowed down to Zhao Feng. Yun-sha gritted his teeth secretly, but HR still had to act respectful on the outside. Chapter leader. The Yun-side family and 100 Flower chapter are attacking us and the situation isn't good. We hope that chapter leader can lead us to destroy the enemy. He was extremely cunning and immediately gave Zhao Feng the big task. If the 1000 Water chapter was destroyed, it would be Zhao Feng's fault as he was the leader, and Yun-sha himself wouldn't have too much responsibility. The Yun-side family and fan-flying bandits' heart twitched as they felt Zhao Feng's aura. In the past, Zhao Feng was just a brat at the Ascended Realm who had powerful methods. However, now that he had broken through to the true spirit realm, there would be some difficulty. Everyone listen. Zhao Feng's voice entered the minds of the upper echelon of the Iron Blood religion chapter. The voice went straight into their mental energy dimensions, and it was far better than a normal transmission. What powerful mental energy! The upper echelons of the 1000 Water chapter thought and listened. Lieutenant Yun-sha, after the battle starts, you need to lead Elder Gao and stall him for half the time it takes tea to be made. If you can't, then you'll face the responsibility. Zhao Feng's voice seemed to contain thunder. These subordinates understand. Yun-sha snickered coldly in his heart. From his point of view, such an order was courting death. After Chun Mengzhen had been captured, Yun-sha and Elder Gao were the two strongest people, and they could stall normal true mystic rank cultivators for a while when they teamed up. Furthermore, the head of the Yun-side family was old and his battle prowess wasn't as great as before. However, apart from the Yun-side family, there was another threat. That was the fan-flying bandit. From a certain point of view, the fan-flying bandit's threat was greater. This bandit was half a step into the true mystic rank, and he had obtained the Water Moon God Peach fan, making his attacks comparable to normal true mystic ranks. Furthermore, the fan-flying bandit was a leader of the 100 Flower chapter, and he had various methods that couldn't be guarded against. Chun Mengzhen had been captured by him. This subordinates understands. I will team up with Lieutenant Yun-sha and can manage to finish the task. But the fan-flying bandit, Elder Gao asked, you just need to do your duty. I can handle the fan-flying bandit myself. Zhao Feng said expressionlessly. In just a breath or two, he had completed his setup. His god spiritual eye spread across the area and had a clear interpretation of the situation. Haha. Is this brat so arrogant that he thinks that the fan-flying bandit is easy to deal with? Yun-sha was overjoyed. If it was in the past, his chance of victory against the fan-flying bandit was between 40 to 60%, meaning that the fan-flying bandit wasn't his match. However, after getting the Water Moon God Peach fan and other items from the Water Moon treasury, his strength had greatly increased. Now Yun-sha didn't have much chance against the fan-flying bandit. Zhao Feng's decision made Yun-sha overjoyed. The only worry was the main headquarters reaction when the chapter was destroyed. Zhao Feng, if you come and apologize, there still might be a chance of hope. The head of the Yun family said deeply. Ha ha ha. Zhao Feng, even if you kneel down, beg for forgiveness and hand all of your treasures over, I still won't forgive you. The fan-flying bandit smiled gruesomely, and a cold blue ripple was unleashed from his Water Moon God Peach fan. The power contained within it was enough to slay a normal true human rank. Zhao Feng didn't mind the fan-flying bandit, and he led some of the Iron Blood religion chapter's men towards the Yun family. So, Yun-sha and Elder Gao went according to the plan and went to stall the head of the Yun-side family. They were certain that they were able to stall the old true mystic rank expert for a short amount of time. But why was Zhao Feng also charging towards the Yun-side family? Wasn't he going to deal with the fan-flying bandit? Zhao Feng's figure went faint and ripples of azure lightning spread in the air. An arc of lightning quickly sped towards a true human rank elder of the Yun-side family. He was so fast that wherever he went, shock waves of lightning would scorch the middle echelon of the Yunside family, leaving them on their last breath. Such fast speed. I'll see how strong the new chapter leader is. The Yunside family elder's heart jumped, but he didn't retreat. After all, he was a true spirit realm expert who had reached the early stages of the true human rank. How would he fear a junior that had just reached the true spirit realm? Shua. The azure light that Zhao Feng had turned into suddenly increased its speed, and it stunned the Yunside family elder. He didn't think that Zhao Feng had concealed some of his speed just then. The power of lightning was what was comprehended from the lightning inheritance and contained the essence of speed. Zhao Feng had conserved some of his speed just then and now had used a secret technique to increase his speed rapidly within a short while. The lightning surrounding Zhao Feng instantly became more powerful and swept in a radius of 20 to 30 yards. Those below the true spirit realm were either instantly killed or lost their battle power. The Yunside family elder didn't react fast enough to Zhao Feng's burst of speed and his body became numb. This numbing sensation wasn't enough for him to lose his battle power, but it slowed down his reactions. Blade of lightning. A 3-foot-long blade of lightning condensed in Zhao Feng's hand and it started to vibrate. It was as sharp as an electric saw and he stabbed it towards the Yunside family's elder's defensive true force. Zhao Feng's blade of lightning was extremely sharp and it pierced quickly through the Yunside family elder's defense. Ah! The Yunside family elder screamed as he was stabbed in the chest by the blade of lightning. A burnt, bloody hole appeared where he had been stabbed. His body also started to tremble. The blade of lightning broke after that one attack, but its cracking caused more damage. Plop! A smoking corpse was left on the ground. An elder from the Yunside family, who was at the early stage of the true human rank, had been killed in one move by Zhao Feng. The hearts of everyone from the Yunside family were shaken and they all took in a cold breath. Those that had been planning to attack Zhao Feng stopped mid-step and they felt that their throats were blocked. Half of why the Yunside family elder lost so fast was because he had underestimated Zhao Feng. Who would have thought that a junior that had just reached the true spirit realm would be so strong? This Zhao Feng dares to ignore me? On the other side, the fan-flying bandit's face was cold and filled with hatred. Zhao Feng was his sole target. He needed to burn the brat into dust and take back what belonged to him in the Water Moon treasury. He had locked onto Zhao Feng right from the beginning, but Zhao Feng didn't even bother with him and treated him like air. Instead, he had charged towards the Yun family. He roared furiously and charged towards Zhao Feng. After that, he witnessed Zhao Feng making a move on the true spirit realm elder and laughed secretly as he planned to kill him from behind. However, in the next instant, he witnessed Zhao Feng slaying the Yunside family elder with one blade strike. The fan-flying bandit couldn't help but be stunned. Although the Yunside family elder had underestimated the opponent, Zhao Feng was much more terrifying than he had first thought. Zhao Feng, come and die! The fan-flying bandit was also full of confidence as he held the Water Moon God Peach fan. After the devastating loss in the Transverse Water Stronghold, he went back to his faction and successfully refined the Water Moon God Peach fan. He then used some of the resources that he had gained in the Water Moon treasury to increase his strength. At this point in time, Zhao Feng turned around and glanced at the fan-flying bandit with a smile. He obviously hadn't ignored the fan-flying bandit. However, in Zhao Feng's view, the fan-flying bandit was actually the easiest to deal with. This was because he had controlled the fan-flying bandit's emotions and aim. The fan-flying bandit hated Zhao Feng after the loss back then, and that hatred had reached a level where it became a heart demon. Therefore, Zhao Feng was sure that the fan-flying bandit would try to kill him regardless what. However, Zhao Feng didn't do as he wished and purposely evaded him. But he had got his attention at the same time while he charged in the Yunside family and slew an elder. Killing a Yunside family elder wasn't without aim. It was actually a very important step of Zhao Feng's plan. This was because there was several true human rank elders in the Yunside family and he needed to kill at least one to relieve the pressure on the Iron Blood religion chapter. Zhao Feng, come and die! The fan-flying bandit shouted with a poisonous look on his face as he finally caught up to Zhao Feng. Zhao Feng had comprehended the lightning inheritance and had the Yin Shadow Cloak, so his speed was the best amongst the people present. Those whose speed could be compared to him were only the head of the Yunside family and the fan-flying bandit. Being the personal disciple of the water moon pirate, the fan-flying bandit was extremely fast. Chapter leader, watch out. This bandit is full of tricks. Dai Yi came over after severely injuring an enemy true human rank elder and tried to help Zhao Feng. Dai Ye's most important task was to support Zhao Feng, including his safety. Zhao Feng's eyes lit up. Dai Ye's strength was stronger than what he thought, and she almost not weaker than Yunsha and Qin Mengzhen. Dai Yi, you go help rescue Lieutenant Chun. I can handle this bandit myself. Zhao Feng's voice traveled into Dai Ye's mental energy area. Dai Yi was somewhat hesitant, but the chapter leader's voice resounded throughout her head and was full of order. Okay. Dai Yi turned around and charged towards the 100-Flower chapter to rescue Qin Mengzhen. If they could rescue her, the Iron Blood Religion chapter would have another lieutenant and have the chance to flip the situation around. The only problem was that there was one true human rank and 2 half-step true spirit realm cultivators guarding Qin Mengzhen. While Dai Yi charged another true human rank expert came over to block her. The main point of the situation was between Zhao Feng and the fan-flying bandit. The head of the Yunside family had been stalled by Yunsha and company. Dai Yi and other handled the experts from the 100-Flower chapter and fought together. The two sides were currently balanced, but the opponent had the fan-flying bandit who was full of terrifying tricks. Once Zhao Feng couldn't hold him back, the situation would become one-sided. The fan-flying bandit's damage towards normal true human rank cultivators was just too high. Even a lieutenant had been captured. At this instant, Zhao Feng and the fan-flying bandit both looked at each other, and their chi of true spirit became denser as they gave off a pressure which made others nearby unable to come closer. The other experts from other forces were secretly watching this battle. Fan-flying bandit, you lost to me last time and lost an arm. You haven't changed at all. This time, I'll chop off your other arm and cripple your cultivation. Zhao Feng stood with his hands behind his back as his eyes twinkled. What arrogance! The 100-Flower chapter, the Yunside family and the Iron Blood Religion chapter were all stunned. From their point of view, Zhao Feng was the weaker side. From Zhao Feng's tone, the fan-flying bandit had lost to him before. Is this true or false? The new chapter leader had once defeated the fan-flying bandit and cut off one of his arms. Probably false. Zhao Feng just broke through to the true spirit realm, meaning that before he was just at the ascended realm. The three forces guessed. Hearing what Zhao Feng said, the fan-flying bandit roared and killing intent filled his face. That day at the Transverse Water Bay, where he met his defeat, was the most humiliating thing in his life, and Zhao Feng had told everyone. Seeing the fan-flying bandit's expression, everyone was surprised. Was it actually true? Die! The fan-flying bandit howled as he exploded. Who? The water moon god peach fan in his hand was waved, and it created terrifying ripples that seemed to weigh millions of kilograms and could destroy anything in its path. The water moon god peach fan was, after all, the only offensive item of the water moon 4 treasures, and its attacking capabilities were devastating. Even those at the true mystic rank would be moved by such an attack. Zhu! Zhao Feng's figure flashed and the Yin shadow cloak behind him flapped. Wang! Shua! Shua! Zhao Feng figure turned into 3 figures. The 3 figures that were exactly the same as Zhao Feng turned into 3 lightning streaks that leapt towards the fan-flying bandit. This was the hidden ability in the Yin shadow cloak, the Yin shadow doppelgangers. Now that Zhao Feng's cultivation level was high enough, he could use this secret technique of the Yin shadow cloak. Even those at the true spirit realm couldn't see which one was the real Zhao Feng in a short amount of time. All of you, die! The fan-flying bandit waved his fan and the ripples enveloped the 3 Zhao Fengs. Even 3 true human rank cultivators would find it hard to be able to retreat fully unharmed. Boom! Boom! 2 of the Yin shadow doppelgangers were instantly destroyed when they came close to the fan-flying bandit, while the 3rd Zhao Feng ran out of range. Where are you running to? The fan-flying bandit licked his lips and quickly followed. Boom! The 3rd Zhao Feng was killed by 1 fan. The fan-flying bandit finally realized that something was wrong. With Zhao Feng's current strength, he definitely wouldn't be killed by 1 fan. He knew how terrifying his calculations and strength were. Shua! A blue-haired youth sitting on a lotus appeared out of nowhere. One couldn't forget that Zhao Feng's shadow cloak had the power of invisibility. The crowd broke into chaos and the upper echelons from the three forces all exclaimed. Would Zhao Feng fight directly with the fan-flying bandit? Of course not. After the 360 turn, he immediately threw off the fan-flying bandit and charged towards the 100-flower chapter. Target: rescue Chen Mingjin. When Zhao Feng mentioned how he had defeated the fan-flying bandit before and seemed to hold victory in his hands, it was all to pretend that he was going to battle the fan-flying bandit. Who would have guessed that he was actually not going to fight? All of this was created so he could throw off the fan-flying bandit. Zhao Feng versus fan-flying bandit? He wasn't so dumb to do something that gave him no benefits. This wouldn't affect the entire situation much unless he could defeat the fan-flying bandit in a short amount of time. But the problem was that the fan-flying bandit had been defeated by Zhao Feng once and his battle power had increased drastically. The same tactic wouldn't succeed twice. At this point in time, Zhao Feng had succeeded on throwing off the fan-flying bandit as he charged into the 100-flower chapters group. Ring of lightning. Boom! Ripples of lightning were sent from Zhao Feng's body and went in every direction. Those below the true spirit realm were almost all killed. With Zhao Feng's help, Dai Yi got closer to Chen Mingjin. The plan was succeeding bit by bit. The Iron Blood Religion chapter cultivators were all excited and full of expectation. Humph! If you come one step closer, I'll kill her. The true human rank expert from the 100-flower chapter reached out and clamped Chen Mingjin's neck. Dai Yi's footsteps stopped. She didn't know whether to continue or retreat. Zhao Feng, you won't succeed. The fan-flying bandit charged from behind. Zhao Feng calculated the time and distance, then ordered Dai Yi, charge across and save her. Dai Yi was somewhat hesitant, but it was Zhao Feng's order, so she had to charge towards Chen Mingjin. The expressions of many upper echelons from the Iron Blood Religion chapter changed. Does the chapter leader not care about the lieutenant's life? An enemy at the true human rank was holding Chen Mingjin's life. If they were going in by force, he would definitely kill Chen Mingjin. Am I going to die here? This new chapter leader is so emotionless. A bitterness appeared on Chen Mingjin's mouth as she was filled with sadness. Zhao Feng's cold order almost froze the hearts of the Iron Blood Religion members. Only the fan-flying bandit seemed to suddenly remember something and his expression changed dramatically. Kill that woman! He had fought Zhao Feng before and knew how terrifying this youth was. However, his warning was too late. Zhao Feng stood on the three-flowered treasured lotus and his faint blue left eye was like a limitless cold pond. A chilling intent filled the mental energy world. Ah! The true human rank holding Chen Mingjin hiccuped when he looked into Zhao Feng's eye. Immediately after, he felt Zhao Feng's left eye turning into a cold abyss that enveloped his consciousness. After reaching the true spirit realm, the god's spiritual eye's power increased by a lot. Plop! The true human rank expert holding Chen Mingjin fell onto the ground drenched in sweat and feeling exhausted. His eyes were full of shock and fear. He couldn't even lift up his body. This scene stunned everyone. All they had seen was Zhao Feng glance towards the true human rank expert and it made the latter instantly crumble. Instantly following that, the two half-step true spirit realm cultivators next to Chen Mingjin fainted. What a terrifying eye bloodline! The head of the Yunside family took a cold breath. Yunsha, Elder Gao, and the other upper echelons of the Iron Blood Religion chapter were dazed. Being the person rescued, Chen Mingjin was shook as her eyes became large. Is this the chapter leader's eye bloodline? Dai Yi was dazed for an instant before she reacted and successfully rescued Chen Mingjin. Hua! The Iron Blood Religion members all reacted and showed in joy. Once Chen Mingjin was saved, the situation would turn. Zhao Feng entering the battle and killing a true human rank. Throwing off the fan-flying bandit and rescuing Chen Mingjin had only taken him 10 breaths. This meant that in 10 breaths' time, Zhao Feng had changed the outcome. Zhao Feng, there's no point of you saving her. She's been poisoned by my sky-softening collapsing powder. She won't have any battle power within 3 days, and all her bones will turn into mud. The fan-flying bandit's laugh shocked everyone present. He had captured Chen Mengzhen but had left another trick behind just in case. Sky-softening collapsing powder? From within Zhao Feng's mind surfaced information regarding it from the Mystic Flower Treasured Bible. The Mystic Flower Treasured Bible contained the essence of the Wicked Path and the entire 100 Flower Chapters tricks. Someone get me some poisonous spider saliva, squiggly clockstone, horse piss, and 10 ice element spiritual pills, Zhao Feng ordered. Understood, chapter leader. Although the Iron Blood religion members didn't understand, they still went according to the chapter leader. However, as Zhao Feng gave out the order, the fan-flying bandit's expression changed. How is that possible? How do you know the antidote to the sky-softening collapsing powder? This is a secret that the 100 Flower chapter never tells anyone. Within 10 breaths, the Iron Blood religion members all gathered the common items. The poisonous spider saliva, chilling ice pill, squiggly clock stone, and other commonly seen items were put into the horse piss and thrown onto Chen Mengzhen. Chen Mengzhen felt her softened body become more and more powerful, and she became overjoyed. At this instant, Zhao Feng was facing the enraged fan-flying bandit's attack. Zhao Feng expressionlessly opened the 3-flowered treasured lotus defense, which made 3 petals envelop him. Now that he had reached the true spirit realm, all of the effects of the 3-flowered treasured lotus increased. Beams of lightning, arcs of lightning, and arm-thick condensed on Zhao Feng's palm and smashed towards the fan-flying bandit. Although the beams of lightning weren't as sharp as the blade of lightning, they contained a lot of damage and were more suitable for head-on attacks. However, he was destined to have a hard battle facing the fan-flying bandit. The fan-flying bandit knew Zhao Feng's tricks and had a plan. Crack! The water moon god peach fan in his hand turned into an umbrella that spun and deflected Zhao Feng's lightning. The water moon god peach fan could turn into an umbrella-shaped defensive state, but the only weakness was that it could only block attacks from one direction and not as well as the 3-flowered treasured lotus. Last time in the transverse water stronghold, the fan-flying bandit didn't even think about defense. At that point, he only wanted to beat everyone but had underestimated the opponent and was tricked by Zhao Feng. Furthermore, the hypnosis towards the fan-flying bandit by the 3-flowered treasured lotus was less effective than the fan-flying bandit of before. During the last battle, Zhao Feng had made the fan-flying bandit more tired with the hypnosis smell and finally found a flaw with his god's spiritual eye. Therefore, after the fan-flying bandit returned to his faction, he created an antidote that could resist 60 to 70% of the smells from the 3-flowered treasured lotus. Humph! Not only did I create an antidote, I also prepared a rare soul item which can increase my resistance to mental energy. The fan-flying bandit had a smugness in his eyes. Zhao Feng's 3-flowered treasured lotus would be countered with his antidote, and Zhao Feng's mental energy would be countered with his soul item. Fan-flying bandit can use all of the water moon god peach fan's power and doesn't need to fear normal true human rank cultivators with its offense and defense. Furthermore, he came prepared this time. Zhao Feng's eyes glinted. This meant that his and the fan-flying bandit's offense, defense, and speed were all perfect. The fan-flying bandit had the water moon god peach fan, which made his attacks slightly more powerful. But Zhao Feng had the 3-flowered treasured lotus, making his defense better. In terms of speed and movement, the two were both about equal. As time passed, Zhao Feng and the fan-flying bandit's battle became fiercer and arcs of lightning flashed everyone, making the hearts of those watching twitch. At a certain instant, Zhao Feng opened his god's spiritual eye and used a mental energy technique. Wang, a Buddhist bead on the fan-flying bandit's chest, gave off a mysterious light, and he seemed to hear the sound of Buddhas next to his eye. The fan-flying bandit's figure shook and cold sweat appeared on his forehead. Zhao Feng used mental energy on his flaws, and even though the fan-flying bandit had a soul-protecting item, he had also fallen for it. Soul items were extremely rare and there were differences in strength. The fan-flying bandit's soul item was only at the peak mortal grade. Damn it! The fan-flying bandit felt troubled. His god's peach fan was extremely powerful and he had many methods that even some peak true human rank experts would lose to. But Zhao Feng had the 3-flowered treasured lotus and the god's spiritual eye which perfectly countered him. In reality, the water moon god peach fan could also send a mental energy illusion as it was an item of the wicked path to increase the effects of different poisons. However, the fan-flying bandit had tried this on other people and it worked, but it had no effect on Xiaofeng. Right at this moment in time, Chun Mengjin had recovered and entered the battle. She felt gratitude towards Xiaofeng and wanted to come help Xiaofeng deal with the fan-flying bandit. You go help others. Xiaofeng's voice sounded in her head. Understood. Chapter Leader. Chun Mengjin looked deeply and respectfully towards Xiaofeng. When this youth had saved her, Chun Mengjin had felt the terrifying power in his eye bloodline. At this instant, Xiaofeng had successfully countered the fan-flying bandit's attacks, and if it was her or Xianxia in his place, it wouldn't be done so well. With Chun Mengjin's entrance, the situation started to turn. Chun Mengjin and Dai Yi were both lieutenant-level experts that successfully killed or severely injured 2 or 3 true human-rank cultivators. After that, Chun Mengjin entered Xia's battle and helped him suppress the head of the Yunside family. The head of the Yunside family roared in anger, but he had to helplessly retreat with his people. A smile curled on Zhao Feng's lips. Rescuing Chun Mengjin was indeed the critical point. After the Yunside family was defeated, the 100 Flower chapter's morale dropped and they were soon destroyed by Dai Yi and company. Chapter Leader. I'll help you. Dai Yi waved her arms and entered the battle agilely. In terms of battle prowess, Dai Yi wasn't any weaker than Xianxia or Chun Mengjin and not much worse off than the fan-flying bandit. Xiaofeng and Dai Yi suppressed the fan-flying bandit. Xiaofeng, if you have the skills, come fight me alone. The fan-flying bandit roared as his organs almost exploded from anger. He really didn't want to see Xiaofeng successfully turn the situation around. How would it feel for the same thing to happen twice? Xiaofeng's bloodline power was 70 to 80% used and a faint cold yet ancient and elegant tattoo appeared on his skin. Under his bloodline power, all of his attacks seemed to contain a chilling feeling. At the same time, it would also attack his soul. After fighting for so long, the fan-flying bandit was getting tired and although he had a soul item, Xiaofeng's mental energy was too strong. In terms of source of mental energy, Xiaofeng was far stronger than others at the same cultivation level. However, most of it couldn't be used freely. With Dai Ye's help, Xiaofeng had the time to use some mental energy skills. His god's spiritual eye scanned over the nearby experts. Plop! Plop! Another true human rank and several half-step true spirit realm cultivators kneeled on the ground as they lost their strength and were killed or captured by the Iron Blood religion chapter. The battle became one-sided. Xiaofeng's strength wasn't the strongest, but he had the ability to change the tide. The Iron Blood religion chapter's counterattack was absolute. The 100 Flower chapter was defeated. The Yunside family ran. Xiaofeng and Dai Yi were responsible for killing the fan-flying bandit. The fan-flying bandit was enraged. The combined attacks of Xiaofeng and Dai Yi had already caused him to be slightly injured. Fan-flying bandit. I told you I'd chop off another arm of yours and cripple your cultivation. Xiaofeng exclaimed coldly and fought fiercer and fiercer. The size of the source of true spirit in his body was on par with those at the early stages of the true human rank. He also had a bloodline power, the god's spiritual eye and lightning inheritance. Furthermore, Xiaofeng still had the Mystic Flower Treasured Bible, which allowed him to counter the fan-flying bandit's methods. The fan-flying bandit gritted his teeth, and the water moon god peach fan closed with a pa. Shio, shio, shio. The water moon god peach fan shot out 7 deadly weapons. These 7 weapons were either throwing knives, poisonous needles, or deadly weapons. All of these were extremely fast and surpassed the speed of sound. Their screeching sounds made one's ears hurt and were faster than most true human rank's reaction speed. Under normal situations, one of these weapons alone was able to kill a normal true human rank. The 7 of these in theory could kill a true mystic rank. Not good. Dai Yi barely managed to dodge 3 throwing knives and a poisonous needle that swished past her hair. There was also a row of needles that covered everything. Shwa! An arc of lightning hummed and Xiaofeng dragged Dai Yi onto the 3-flowered treasured lotus. Ding ding ding. The powerful defense of the 3-flowered treasured lotus managed to block the chaotic attacks. Xiaofeng was also scared. Luckily, he had reacted fast, or else if he only protected himself, Dai Yi would be in grave danger. Thanks. Dai Yi stuck out her tongue and let out a breath. During this time, the fan-flying bandit flew through the air and tried to escape with hatred and unwillingness written on his face. He first thought that the 7 types of weapons would be able to severely injure or kill Dai Yi, but Zhao Feng's reaction speed was just too fast. As the fan-flying bandit released these weapons, Zhao Feng had sensed something. Fan-flying bandit, you can't escape our pursuit. Zhao Feng's laughter was like thunder that sounded across dozens of miles. He had the 3-flowered treasured lotus which could fly extremely fast for a small amount of true force. Furthermore, Dai Yi would also insert her true force into the 3-flowered treasured lotus to increase its speed. Zhao Feng and company's speed surpassed the fan-flying bandits and they chased after him. The fan-flying bandit was extremely ruffled and tired. There was several places on his body that were scorched and smoking. The most troublesome thing was that Zhao Feng would send a mental energy attack after finding a flaw, making the fan-flying bandit's heart twitch. He was tired and no longer wanted to fight. Unfortunately, I don't have a powerful long-range weapon. Zhao Feng felt slightly regretful. The Luoho Bao was a mortal-grade weapon and it couldn't threaten the fan-flying bandit much. It wasn't even as good as him sending arcs of lightning. Chapter leader, he won't be able to last longer. Dai Yi smiled faintly. The fan-flying bandit had expended more energy and he was more tired than the two of them. At a certain instant, Zhao Feng found the chance and once again used a mental energy illusion. The exhausted fan-flying bandit had little resistance and the mysterious light from the Buddhist bead on his chest became faint. Shwa! The fan-flying bandit's consciousness shook and it was dragged away. Chio! In the next instant, a blade of lightning appeared on Zhao Feng's hand and he appeared right next to the fan-flying bandit. Ah! Before the fan-flying bandit could react, his remaining arm was slashed away by Zhao Feng's blade of lightning and blood splattered everywhere. The water moon god Peach Fan also fell down with his arm. The water moon god Peach Fan and the 3-flowered treasured lotus were perfect for each other. Zhao Feng's heart moved and he was about to take it. Meow meow. The little thieving cat jumped out and in a blur, took the water moon god Peach Fan. My god Peach Fan. The fan-flying bandit's eyes were fully red. He burnt his chi of true spirit and charged towards the little thieving cat. Meow meow. The little thieving cat flashed and became invisible. At this point in time, the fan-flying bandit's battle power couldn't increase even if he burnt his source of true spirit as he had no arms left. Zhao Feng quickly returned to the 3-flowered treasured lotus to prevent the fan-flying bandit from suiciding. However, he had overestimated the fan-flying bandit. Run! The fan-flying bandit burnt his chi of true spirit which doubled his speed and sped off into the air. Although the fan-flying bandit's methods were comparable to a normal true mystic ranks, he didn't have the courage to kill himself. Losing both his arms only made him think about surviving. Fan-flying bandit, this is the second time that you've troubled me. I told you before that I'm going to chop off one of your arms and cripple your cultivation. Zhao Feng coldly chased after the fan-flying bandit with his 3-flowered treasured lotus. Having burnt his chi of true spirit, the fan-flying bandit's speed had surpassed the true human rank level and he was even slightly faster than normal true mystic rank cultivators. The distance between Zhao Feng and the fan-flying bandit was getting further and further apart. Unfortunately, I don't have a powerful long-range weapon. Zhao Feng felt slightly regretful. The Luoho Bao wasn't enough to deal with the fan-flying bandit, who had reached the peak true human rank. Chapter leader, the 100-flower chapter has been defeated and the fan-flying bandit has lost 2 of his arms. There's almost no threat left. If we keep on following, I'm afraid that... Dai Yi warned. From her point of view, it was already incredible to force the fan-flying bandit into such a step. Zhao Feng knew what Dai Yi meant. The reason why the fan-flying bandit didn't have the decisiveness to die was because he still had a bit of life yet. If there was no life in him left, the fan-flying bandit would definitely try to drag his opponent down with him. We'll follow him. Zhao Feng smiled. His god spiritual I could see up to 1,000 miles away, and all he needed to do was wait for the fan-flying bandit's chi of true spirit to be expended. The fan-flying bandit soon disappeared from view, but Zhao Feng still locked onto the target, not panicking or rushed at all. No wonder. Dai Ye's heart jumped as she looked at Zhao Feng's cold blue eye. It seemed to see through her heart. Zhao Feng's eye bloodline couldn't be measured with normal standards. The fan-flying bandit felt a coldness in his heart. It was as if an eye was looking from the heavens down onto him. His heart rate spread up and he felt his blood freeze. Limitless pressure seemed to come down upon him and destroy him. He suddenly turned around and saw an eye of the sky look down on him. Shwa! His eyes blurred and the eye of the sky disappeared. It was as if it was just an imagination. If his senses were correct, then the opponent's eye bloodline would be too terrifying. What just happened? Zhao Feng jumped up in fright. He had just then used all his god's spiritual eye's power and purposely locked onto the fan-flying bandit and added mental energy pressure onto him. At a certain instant, Zhao Feng felt as if his consciousness had jumped out of his body and was in the sky looking down below. At that moment, he felt as if he was the sky and earth, looking down and controlling everything. Was that my imagination? Why did my mental energy source instantly decrease by 10%? Zhao Feng was surprised. Half the time it takes to make tea later, the fan-flying bandit's chi of true spirit stopped burning and he was exhausted. Zhao Feng maintained a distance of 100 miles between him and the fan-flying bandit. The latter wouldn't be able to see this far or sense him with his spiritual sense. Xiao! From the mountain in front came the sound of flying. A male and female came into the fan-flying bandit's view. When did you catch up? No! This is impossible. The fan-flying bandit panicked. He had just burnt his chi of true spirit. How could they have caught up? Looking closely, the fan-flying bandit let out a breath. The male and female wasn't Zhao Feng and Dai Yi. One of them was a youth with a handsome pale face. He wore a green battle robe and had an ancient blade on his back. Next to him was a red-robed girl with beautiful lips. Zhao Feng also saw them through his god's spiritual eye. The battle-robed youth's cultivation had reached the early stages of the true human rank and his age was only around 30. Could that youth be the main Yun family's top genius, Tian Yunshi? Someone who has the bloodlines of both the Tian and Yun family and is ranked third on the Great Country Star ranking. The fan-flying bandit's gaze evaded the youth in the battle robe. The male and female were sitting on a flying steed and passing by the fan-flying bandit. Big brother, that person looks terrible. Both his arms have been cut off. Who's pursuing him? The red-robed girl said sympathetically. Hearing this, the fan-flying bandit's heart jumped up to his throat. The battle-robed youth couldn't help but look at the fan-flying bandit. Wait! A cold voice suddenly sounded. The fan-flying bandit's figure froze and he forced a smile. What do you two need? The battle-robed youth turned around and inspected the fan-flying bandit. He felt that this person was somewhat familiar and he was obviously uneasy when looking at them. The battle-robed youth raised his eyebrows. Are you from the 100-Flower chapter? No way. How can I be a bastard from the 100-Flower chapter? I'm an elder from the Yunside family. But because we fought with the Iron Blood religion and lost, they pursued me to here. Can you two help block the enemies from behind? This one will be eternally grateful. The fan-flying bandit purposely pretended to be confident and started to lie. If he wasn't wrong, the Yun family and Tian family had a good relationship. This Tian Yunji had the bloodlines of both the Yun and Tian family and was a peerless genius. This battle-robed youth was Tian Yunji, whom the fan-flying bandit had seen once before. What? The Iron Blood religion and the Thousand Water Yun family are fighting? We're on our way to the Yunside family. The red-robed girl was stunned. Seeing that we're all friends, can you two help me block those enemies? The fan-flying bandit begged. Brother Tian, let's help him? The red-robed girl asked sympathetically. However, Tian Yunji's face became even colder than before. Bandit, die! Cold, dominant voice boomed. In the next instant, an azure blade was drawn and an arc of blade light flashed through the air. The invisible blade intent had already enveloped the fan-flying bandit. Sky cloud blade drawing intent. Don't. The fan-flying bandit's expression was full of fear. His battle intent had vanished when he saw that blade intent. He didn't even have the thought to fight back. If he was at his peak and had the water moon god Peach Fan, maybe he would be able to fight back. But at this point in time, he didn't have any thought to even resist. Show. The blazing blade light seemed to slash through the clouds. Blade intent? The beginning of blade intent. Almost close enough to form true blade chi. 100 miles out, Zhao Feng took a deep breath while standing on the three-flowered treasured lotus. Blade intent and sword intent were both mental energy beliefs. The former was a blade user while the latter was a sword user. Phewish. The fan-flying bandit's body was slashed into two. Humph. The infamous fan-flying bandit defiled one of my relatives 3 years ago. Although I haven't seen you before, your pictures were spread across the city. Tian Yunji snickered coldly. He was the fan-flying bandit? The disciple of the famous water moon pirate. The red-robed girl felt lucky. No wonder Tian Yunji instantly killed him. Being a wicked force, the 100-flower chapter had several dangerous methods that couldn't be guarded against. If some members had powerful poisons such as the sky-softening collapsing powder, even those at the true spirit realm might fall to it. If members already had such items, what would the fan-flying bandit have? A while later, Zhao Feng stood on the three-flowered treasured lotus and saw Tian Yunji and the red-robed girl. Thank you for killing this bandit. Zhao Feng smiled faintly and greeted them. He didn't recognize Tian Yunji and company, but the enemy's enemy was their friend. Furthermore, Tian Yunji's strength and blade intent gained Zhao Feng's admiration. Three-flowered treasured lotus? Who are you? Tian Yunji coldly inspected Zhao Feng and company. This was especially so for Zhao Feng, who had the three-flowered treasured lotus and the water moon god Peach Fan in his hands. Tian Yunji, don't be arrogant. This is the Iron Blood religion's new chapter leader. If we didn't attack the bandit before, you wouldn't have killed him so easily. Dai Yi said coldly. Tian Yunji was one of the 10 stars and the top genius in the main Tian family. Chapter leader? Tian Yunji's heart jumped. He knew how terrifying the Iron Blood religion was, but this was the first time that he saw such a young Iron Blood religion chapter leader. Could it be? You're that lucky Zhao Feng who escaped the marriage in the flooding lake city and then kidnapped Empress Qin. Tian Yunji's eyes sparkled and a battle intent rose from him. At this instant, both Tian Yunji and Zhao Feng were famous juniors. Tian Yunji was even ranked one of the top 10 stars. Although Zhao Feng wasn't on the list, what he had done had shocked the country. He had escaped from the flooding lake city marriage, kidnapped Empress Qin, and became the youngest chapter leader in the Iron Blood religion. All of this dimmed the lights of other juniors. Chapter leader, be careful. This Tian Yunji is the top genius of the main Tian family and has the bloodline of both the Tian and Yun family. He has comprehended blade intent and his battle power is top amongst this generation. Dai Yi secretly told Zhao Feng. Zhao Feng nodded his head and then handled Tian Yunji with a few sentences before turning around and heading back towards the chapter. The Iron Blood religion chapter still needed him. Brother Tian? You clearly made it clear that you want to challenge him, but why did he give up? Is he scared of you? The red-robed girl laughed. Scared? Who would I be scared of? However, his bloodline power even pressured my bloodline. Since he left in such a hurry, we'll spar later. Tian Yunji said. Are you sure you'll have the chance? He's a chapter leader and needs to control everything. The red-robed girl seemed to enjoy talking back to him. The Iron Blood religion will definitely recommend him to the sacred True Dragon gathering. And that Xian Wuheng who defeated me a year ago with just one hand allowed me to ignite my blade intent. I'll prove everything in the sacred True Dragon gathering. Never mind that Xian Wuheng is already a miraculous star of the northern continent and only just lost to the head disciple, Mo Tianyi from the Heaven Yuan clan of the 10 Great Forces. Mo Tianyi is someone that came top 10 in the last sacred True Dragon gathering. On the way back, Zhao Feng reached out and touched the elegant water moon god Peach Fan, while the little thieving cat sat on his shoulder, showing off its usefulness. Chapter leader, now that you have both the three-flowered treasured lotus and water moon god Peach Fan, you'll truly be unrivaled amongst those at the same cultivation level. You might even be able to fight those normal true mystic rank cultivators. Dai smiled and congratulated him. Of the Water Moon 4 treasures, the Water Moon God Peach fan was specialized for offense and the 3-flowered treasured lotus for defense. The attack and defense abilities were the best combination. No one also knew that Xiaofeng had inherited the Mystic Flower Treasured Bible as well. This Water Moon God Peach fan is extremely precise, and it contains 7 slots which can store 7 small deadly weapons. Xiaofeng had received the inheritance of the Water Moon Pirate and understood the Water Moon 4 treasures better than any 100-flower chapter member. The Water Moon God Peach fan could also turn into a defensive umbrella shape. The thing that made Xiaofeng most overjoyed was that the Water Moon God Peach fan could also send out mental energy illusions and increase the effect of one's mental energy techniques. All in all, after getting the Water Moon God Peach fan, Xiaofeng no longer had any weaknesses. On the way back, Xiaofeng sat on the 3-flowered treasured lotus and started to refine the Water Moon God Peach fan. The Water Moon God Peach fan was an inheritance item which needed a special skill or bloodline to refine. Having the Mystic Flower Treasured Bible, Xiaofeng obviously knew how to refine it. An hour later, Xiaofeng and Dai Yi returned to the Iron Blood Religion chapter. At this point, Xiaofeng had refined 60 to 70% of the Water Moon God Peach fan. Normal weapons didn't need to be refined. They could be used without anything. Only inheritance items and other unique items needed special requirements. Reporting to the chapter leader, the 100-flower chapter and Yunside family have retreated with devastating losses. Reporting to the chapter leader, we've captured 2 true spirit realm and 9 half-step true spirit realms from the 100-flower chapter and Yunside family. This time, the 100-flower chapter will be removed from the 1,000-water area, and the Yunside family won't be able to fight against the chapter anymore. Xiaofeng sat at the head of the hall and listened to the news. Xianxia and Chun Mengzhen sat next to Xiaofeng with complexity in their eyes. Chun Mengzhen was grateful towards Xiaofeng and followed him loyally. Although Xianxia was unwilling, there was more wariness in his eyes. Everyone knew that the new chapter leader had dissolved the danger and defeated both the Yunside family and 100-flower chapter at the same time. Xiaofeng's eyes scanned across the hall and instantly the hall quieted down. Everyone felt a pressure from the chapter leader's cold left eye. Xianxia, you're responsible for leading a group of people and killing the spawn of the 100-flower chapter. At least chase them away from the 1,000-water area. Chun Mengzhen, you're responsible for keeping an eye on the Yunside family and other forces. If there's anything unusual, report it to me. Xiaofeng emotionlessly split the tasks. Now that the outcome was decided, he strived for stability and absolute. I just broke through to the true spirit realm not long ago and am the new chapter leader. I need to increase my strength to settle down the situation. Xiaofeng had his own plan. Xiaofeng didn't use all of his strength today. For example, not all of his bloodline power was used and his source of true spirit wasn't furiously circulated. Firstly, he needed to consolidate his cultivation and he also needed to put some hidden cards down. As long as Xiaofeng had enough time to refine the Water Moon God Peach fan, consolidate his source of true spirit and gather the essence of the Mystic Flower Treasured Bible as well as the Lightning Inheritance, his strength would reach another level. On the same day, the Iron Blood Religion chapter put more energy into killing those from the 100-flower chapter. Within half a month, the 100-flower chapter was almost fully destroyed and only a small number of people escaped from the 1,000-water area. This was because Xiaofeng was giving the Water Moon pirate face and didn't decide to kill them all. During this time, the other forces of the 1,000-water area all behaved carefully. Chun Mengzhen was responsible for the actions of the other forces. After half a month's time, Xiaofeng's source of true spirit was fully consolidated and its level wasn't any weaker than the early stages of the true human rank. The Water Moon God Peach fan had been successfully refined and controlled by Xiaofeng. With the Water Moon God Peach fan, Xiaofeng didn't need any other weapons, so he gave the Mystic Snake Blood Whip to the Little Thieving Cat. In terms of value, the Mystic Snake Blood Whip was close to the Water Moon God Peach fan, but it specialized in support. It could upgrade itself by sucking the blood essence of enemies. Meow meow. The Little Thieving Cat was extremely excited as it twirled the Mystic Snake Blood Whip agilely in its hand. It had used it last time to kidnap Empress Qin. N. Zhao Feng nodded his head in satisfaction. He was now officially exiting seclusion. Everything had stabilized, the mystic flower treasured Bible and lightning inheritance helped one another, and it was a long process. The lightning inheritance was a complete inheritance and was based more towards theory and power, but its weakness was agility and practical use. The mystic flower treasured Bible, however, had gathered the essence of the 100-flower chapter and other wicked path inheritances. There was several different movement and speed techniques as well as other tricks that were extremely unusual and could be used in different conditions. Reporting to the chapter leader, the 100-flower chapter spawns have been cleared out of the 1,000-water area. Xianxia reported. Zhao Feng didn't ask anything about the 100-flower chapter as it posed no threat to the 1,000-water chapter anymore. However, the Yunside family, Biside family, and other forces were still a threat. After all, the 1,000-water chapter also had casualties after this battle. Chapter leader, after the Yunside family was defeated, 2 people from the main Tian family went to visit them. One of them is the Tian family's top genius Tian Yunji. The Yunside family has also been trying to get help from the Biside family. They're probably worried about the Iron Blood Religion chapter's counterattack. Chun Mengzhen also reported. This Tian Yunji came from the Tian family to see his relatives in the Yunside family? Zhao Feng found this somewhat weird. Chapter leader, you forgot that Tian Yunji has the bloodlines of the Tian and Yun family. Tian Yunji's mother, who has passed away, was an elder from the 1,000-water Yun family. Dai Yi warned. No wonder. Zhao Feng nodded his head. The Iron Blood Religion chapter's revenge would be more difficult now. Once the Iron Blood Religion chapter attacked the Yunside family, Tian Yunji wouldn't stand by and watch. If it was a normal true human rank, Zhao Feng wouldn't put them in his eyes, but Tian Yunji was a prodigy who had comprehended blade intent and held 2 powerful bloodlines. Blade intent and sword intent could slash through mental energy and held a certain resilience towards mental energy. Chapter leader, I suggest attacking while we have the lead. If we beat the Yunside family, the 1,000-water area will finally have a true leader. Xianxia was a fighting maniac and immediately suggested this. Chun Mingzhen's eyebrows furrowed. We should wait till Tian Yunji has left first, then plan from then. After all, he's the Tian family's #1 genius. Humph, with chapter leader here, Tian Yunji is nothing. Furthermore, the battle between side families and chapters won't be interfered by main families. Xianxia snickered coldly. The 2 lieutenants started to argue. Dai Yi, what do you think? Zhao Feng turned his gaze towards Dai Yi. After the battle, Zhao Feng had promoted Dai Yi to the chapter protector, who took orders from only him. Even the lieutenants weren't able to order her around. If any of us can suppress Tian Yunji, then we have a chance of winning. We also need to watch out if the Biside family helps the Yunside family. Dai Yi didn't immediately say what she thought was best, so she laid out the situation. The critical point was who would take on Tian Yunji and defend against the Biside family's reinforcements. In reality, the Biside family and Yunside family in the 1,000-water area weren't very strong. The Yunside family was considered average, but the Biside family was considered a bit weaker. I just arrived in the 1,000-water chapter, and I need to stabilize the situation before I can calmly prepare for the sacred True Dragon gathering. Zhao Feng's eyes sparkled in silence. A shocking order resounded across the hall. We will attack both the Yunside family and the Biside family today. This order instantly stunned the upper echelons of the Iron Blood Religion chapter. Even the battle maniac Xianxia jumped up in fright as he thought in his heart. Do you really think Tian Yunji is easy to deal with? Although these 2 side families are considered a bit weak, they're still strong. Chapter leader, I think this is a bit too rushed. Dai Yi didn't feel that this was the right plan. My decision is final. Our biggest advantage is numbers, and we have a total of 10 true spirit realm experts, including those on the surface and those in hiding. There's also quite a few elites. Zhao Feng said solidly. Immediately, the Iron Blood Religion chapter started to assemble their forces. The spies and other forces that actually belonged to the Iron Blood Religion chapter gathered as well. At this instance, the 1,000-water area forces were all frightened. Normal small forces might not even have a true spirit realm expert, and even if they did, There was only 2 or 3. The Iron Blood religion chapter began to attack the Yunside family. Blood-colored robed figures started to close in on the Yunside family's territory. At the same time, Zhao Feng sent Chun Mingjin to attack the Bai-side family. But in reality, she was only there to stall them. The Bai-side family was pretty weak. They only had 1 peak true human rank and 2 other normal true human rank experts. Chun Mingjin only needed to stall the Bai-side family, so that the latter couldn't help the Yunside family. The real battleground was at the Yunside family. Zhao Feng led Yunsha, Dai Yi and other experts towards the Yunside family. The Yunside family were facing a great danger and the hearts of the people there shook. The hall of the Yunside family. Old head of the family, you don't need to worry. As long as I kill or defeat that new chapter leader, we can successfully turn this around. Tian Yunji slowly rose as his voice was filled with a dominance and a coldness that made everyone present feel as if their hearts had been stabbed with a blade. The head of the Yunside family sighed. Luckily, you came in time. The Iron Blood religion's new chapter leader is terrifying. He can defeat most true spirit realm experts in one glance. Mental energy is only a small path. My blade intent can slash through the void and counter this Tao. Furthermore, I've been hoping to battle him. Battle intent surged from Tian Yunji.